can share my screen. This is my first time doing this, so everyone be patient, okay? So let's. Can I start a video call with you, or do I just? You know, I start a call, and then you can go on video here. That's how it should work, right? Are we? All right. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna try to see if I can do the streamer thing and have you up here while we do this. So I'm gonna share my screen.
Hell yeah. I don't actually have a webcam, so like you don't need to accommodate for my video. But
oh, cool.
I guess I could hook up my camera, but it's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. This is my channel. They can look at me. It's fine. But
true.
I do want to talk about this because I saw your video, like I told you, all the way through, multiple times actually, and I was watching because I was watching and I was like, "Fuck! Why didn't I go into detail of this?" I was like, "Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that?" But what I really wanted to talk about was this part, because you found out some shit that I didn't find out about him, like the stuff where he was talking about in the Vowed, like people shouldn't like. People can like what they want to like, and it's not for everybody, right?
That whole video.
Yes. Okay, so let me go back to the. Let me also show you my screen, so that way it's live, so you're not on a delay. So let me screen. All right, here we go. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Nice. All right, and that way. So. Oh, let me fucking put this on so people can see. People on the stream can see. I'm a bad streamer, but okay. Can we talk about first the Polygon did them themselves video? Because I think that's where we both started from.
Yes.
Right.
So for context, like I've been like very loosely like following this guy for like every now and then one of his videos like pops up, and out of curiosity I like click, and like it was always a little weird, and I didn't really want to like watch a full thing, so I just kind of bounced around. And then this one came up, and this was right, as I saw the article and the announcement and stuff from like all the Polygon people, et cetera, about how like they got sold to Valnet, which is fucking awful. Like a bunch of people lost their jobs.
Yes.
Blah blah. So I was like, okay, what's this guy's big brain take going to be? On this absolutely disastrous situation. And I sat down and I watched it, and within like 10 minutes, I was like, okay, I am moving back my plans for my next video because I fucking need to talk about this, or my brain's gonna explode.
Okay, so we're the same person. We're the same person. Because that is
yes.
So just so everyone here knows, my next plan for my video, I had 3 videos planned. It was glazing about Expedition 33.
Fucking love that game.
Love that game. I'm still going to do it. Then it was talking about video game music and why it's important and its effect on people. And then I was going to do just a small little, like maybe like a gameplay video, show some like demos or whatever, right? And then I was going to prep for Summer's Game Fest. I'm going to that next week. But then every time I plan to do this shit, I see like a Legendary's drop video, because it's fucking your fault actually for this one. And then I see just like all this stuff, and then my brain goes, you can't let this go. This will now consume you, so you have to do this. His Polygon video, it's honestly, he's the same as Andy Pants, which is hilarious because you also made that same comparison in this very video, where you could just play Andy's audio over his stuff, and this is his over Andy's audio. It's the same shit. But they're the same in that they do not expect their audience to have any sort of critical thinking skills. And so they can just lie to them in their own videos and no one checks them. Because that part where I'm paused on right now, when he was reading the Bayonetta article, and he was like, they're telling you to be ashamed and you to feel bad. And I was like, hold on. Where in that article, in the section that he shows, that where did they say that, oh, you should feel bad for liking this because you're a terrible person and you're a weird freak and this and this and that. I'm like, they never said that.
Yeah, that's what's so sneaky about it. And I believe he actually says that in the clip that
I'm trying to scroll through it and see.
Yeah, no, it's at about God, I don't even remember the own fucking videos that I made. He says something along the lines of like, oh, they don't explicitly say this, but it's implied that you shouldn't like this. You shouldn't do blah blah blah. It's so like, oh, the Bayonetta stuff is around 11 minutes 30 seconds.
Okay, so we'll do 11 like right here. What's right here?
Didn't like how sexy the main character was. Not because of the gameplay, not because of the performance, because of problematic sexualization. This is the kind of scoring that doesn't just confuse people, it infuriates them. Polygon wasn't just judging the game, they were judging the player. While not saying it overtly, they were saying that this is the kind of content that shouldn't exist and you shouldn't be okay with liking it.
So that entire section right there is just something he hallucinated because that's how he feels. Right?
Yeah, it's pure projection.
Exactly.
Projection.
He's the fucking IMAX. Like, he is telling everyone this is what they think of you, but if you listen to what he says, just bit by bit, right?
Sexualization. This is the kind of scoring that doesn't just confuse people, it infuriates them.
I have a question for you, people who are watching this, and Noah. Were you infuriated?
I was so mad.
I couldn't sleep. I took my Nintendo Switch and I broke it because I was like, what's the point of playing this game now? I'm infuriated. He's right. I was so full of rage.
As soon as I saw that, I started pissing and shitting and throwing up uncontrollably. I was losing my mind.
I could not believe they would do that. But no, but in all seriousness, I'm like, so, and the best part though I know about this shit is even in his own video, right? He says everyone gave it a glowing score, but this one company didn't. I'm like, so what does that tell you? Right? Because even in this own review, they still give it, they praise its combat. They praise everything everyone else is praising. All they did was say, it's weird how they like just really, really exaggerate her sexuality in this game. And that was kind of off-putting. Which is fine to say in the review, because reviews are subjective. But if like it's like, and that's the thing that blows my mind. I'm like, these people want to act as if they understand how reviews work and the people doing the reviews are just pushing an agenda. I'm like, hey man, if that's the case, then aren't all reviews agendas? Because I'm trying to tell you that something is good or something is bad and I'm using evidence, right? Like
that's why I had to include those couple clips I used of him like specifically being like, oh, it's not an attack, it's an opinion.
Yeah.
When like this fucking logic literally only applies to things that they don't like.
Yes.
As opposed to like legitimate grounded critiques. And like again, shit like this isn't black and white. Like I have mixed feelings as a whole about Bayonetta as well. I'm not saying anybody is like completely correct or completely incorrect on the interpretation of the character. There are definitely some issues with how she is portrayed, which I've talked about a little bit in the past, but also at the same time, she looks really fucking hot with that short hair. So like,
yeah,
there's nuance to this.
Oh, no, you can't say nuance on the internet. You know better than that. You know you can't do that shit.
God, I'm so fucking soy pilled. It's terrible.
It's either the worst thing ever and extreme censorship, or it's based. That's it. There's no room. That's why Polygon did this to themselves.
Oh, that's the title of the video.
Oh, fucking mind blown, dude. Let's go. And also the fact that I kept laughing while I was watching this shit. I'm not just the anti-copyright heads, but because like he presents himself. You know, fuck it. Let's go to Legendary Drops. Let's just go to him. We're gonna do some fun right now. Now we're gonna live react to. Oh fuck yeah, dude. Only real. Okay, you know what? I want to see something. I want to see Indie games are the enemy now. Oh, which one do you want to see? The Gears of War one, it's like the game industry wants to fail. Bungie's cooked, or indie.
God, like I said in my video, he says like the same 3 things over and over and over and over and over again, just with a different coat of paint. But like, I'm honestly kind of curious what his take is on the vagueness that is the game industry wants to fail. Because like,
Okay.
he loves Expedition 33, and like, you know, he has this fucking.
I'm gonna try to keep it together here.
Yeah. Okay. So we are going to let me close the pic. We are going to do this shit right now. This is the combo react right here. So if you want me to pause it, you can tell me pause, and I'll pause. I want to pause. So let's go. Chat, you ready? Ready for this live 2-on-1? This on the hub. 2-man spit roasting. Legendary trust.
E-boy Twink and large black man double team angry gamers.
Gone YouTube stream gone sexual.
Just last year, Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox, stepped forward to say that increasing prices over $70 would be manipulative. Do I need to say anything more? Do not trust these people. And
I'm sorry.
I
love the moments of just like the mask slipping. It's like, don't you say more? Do not trust these people, but please trust me. Legendary drops, the man who's never been wrong about anything ever.
Me, the most smartest, perfect little boy ever.
The most moral man.
Like here, this is a tweet that he that is in my collection of research, and about like specifically things he's going to talk about with like game prices and like paths and stuff. And what's like so interesting to me, and I'm sure he's going to talk about this, is like he isn't completely off base with like a lot of the super base level assumptions, like his concerns about like game prices or like funneling people to Game Pass. Like obviously Game Pass could get shittier. That's completely reasonable. We've seen it happen so many times. But the way that he like twists and turns this into like the most toxic interpretation that like makes him look like a fucking revolutionary standing against the face of this is just like the most cringe shit in the world.
Well, because that's what they have to do, though, right? I actually said this earlier in the stream. It's they start at somewhere reasonable. Like, oh, hey, if we have everyone being funneled towards these streaming services, then they can, put a monopoly on things and make things low quality because where are you going to go? It's like, fair. We're seeing that now with Amazon Prime, right? It used to be you pay for Prime, you have no ads. Now Netflix did ads. Well, shit, I'll do ads. Well, shit, I'll do ads. Where are you going to go? You don't watch TV. All your shows are here. So it's like you're stuck. But I have a feeling he's going to turn this into some just like some anti-woke shit. Like it feels like it's turning that already 11 seconds in. But I'd be happy to be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong.
Stop defending them. Xbox was the last company that I would have expected to join the price hike club. Because while I will largely applaud them for getting rid of console exclusivity, I think that that's generally a good thing. And I know that there is a broader strategy to these price increases. It still doesn't make sense. Not from a player's perspective, and definitely not even from a business perspective. Outside of a couple of decent games, Xbox first-party titles just aren't good. People are not going to be lining up to spend $80 on an Xbox game right now. You might get a handful, not nearly as many as you're going to need.
Okay, so never mind. My immediately dumb take. Never mind. It's just because this is so beautiful, because this is the thought process they have. They're like, people will only pay money for a good game, but you don't know what game's good until it's played. Like you can't.
It's back to that like in inflation tweet that I fucking showed. Like he just doesn't want to engage with the more, again, the naughty word, nuanced reality.
Right.
Like what thing? Like obviously, I don't want games to be more fucking expensive.
Same.
Also, I would have a less of a problem with it if also all of our wages went up. Politics. We
well, no, we can't do that, dude. Because would it be easier if just like if they raise the prices, then we would have things like universal basic income or universal basic healthcare, so our needs are met. And once our needs are met, we'd be more willing to part with our hard-earned cash and not to make a decision between, do my kids eat today or does daddy get Grand Theft Auto 6, right? But
daddy gotta get Grand Theft Auto 6.
Daddy's been waiting since you weren't even born, son. I gotta play GTA 6. And it's like, you are so incurious, but because of that, his reasoning and his conclusions will always be wrong, no matter how like close they were to the original premise, because he refuses to do that work. To be like, the reason why like $80 games are bad for people. I can be like, okay, yes, I can see that argument. Overly expensive, wages are stagnant, but will he bring that up? No, he'll be like, it's because Xbox games aren't good. That's why. If their games were good, I would spend $1,000 on them. But their games are all bad. And I can tell because I have, my glasses aren't just prescription glasses. They are lenses into the future. You see, much like Odin, I too went to Yggdrasil and hung myself under a tree, and I gained foresight and wisdom. It's like, bro, like, and the best part right now, Noah, this shirt he's wearing is so ironic, but it's so good.
Oh, that's
Blind Guardian.
I didn't even notice that shit. Oh,
like,
fuck.
Oh man, we are fucking live brain rot, you guys. Live brain rot.
And it feels like every single time they go to pick up a publisher or a studio, they find a way to ruin it in one way, shape, or form, except for Activision Blizzard King. And, well, you can't necessarily ruin what is already effectively video game Satan. So there you go. You don't have the faith of the vast majority of players that play video games today. You are the weakest of the three platform holders. You are years behind in console sales, and you're increasing prices across the board. What are you doing? I know what you're doing. You're terrified. Because Xbox, like all of these other companies, have built their castles on sand. And because of rising development costs, because you guys consolidated your industries overseas and now are threatened by tariffs. Because
wait, he mentioned something political. He mentioned politics. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. But what the funniest part is this is what I'm talking about. They will inch towards it, and then it's just like a detour until insane land.
It isn't even like a detour because like I said, there's like base level reality that exists in them because they are uncritical of the broader systems that they exist in, because they have the privilege of not having their lives affected by their obliviousness to them.
Yeah.
So like they can think about this in a way that makes it like so normal, and they can so conveniently like this political, this not political. Tariffs, I guess are non-political now, but inflation is political. For some, I have such a hard time keeping track. Honestly, it's impressive.
It's honestly, dude, these are gold medal Olympian mental gymnastics. We can't keep up with them. We're fucking not even bronze. We are just losers. We can't do what they can do. But like, how do you square that? What it looks like his reasoning is Microsoft is terrified because, okay, real talk though, Microsoft is not terrified. This is not me like defending companies, but it's like Microsoft never makes money. I think the only company that does make money from their development stuff is Nintendo, because Nintendo only has Nintendo. Sony is a fucking billionaire company. So is Microsoft. Everyone who uses a computer is playing, mostly 90% of them have a Windows. Like, there's Sony Pictures, there's Sony Technologies, there's Microsoft Technologies. There's so many things that are happening outside of the gaming sphere. I can be wrong, but I'm pretty confident that the gaming portion for both Sony and Microsoft have never made up a significant portion of their profits, because they lose on the sales of consoles because they produce them themselves, which is at a loss.
Yeah, I think you're correct about that. And as a like, I out of curiosity, like I'm looking at Microsoft's like quarterly financials, and as of March 2025, as a whole, they're up 13% year over year.
Yeah.
So I don't know how scared they are, really.
Right. And it's like,
I wonder if I can find anything on gaming.
I would love that, because it would be interesting to know, because he doesn't ever bring up any statistics or facts or anything like that, right? But it's so funny to be like, they're scared, and this is why they're scared. But this is like saying, hey, dude, I know the reason why you won't come to my house and fight me, and it's because you're scared. And it's like, brother, I live 10,000 miles away from you. I'm not going to, like, there's no need for me to do this. Like, I'm not scared. I'm good over here. You can be mad at me 10,000 miles away, but I'm good here. I'm safe here. I have my food. I have my needs met here. I sometimes get on planes to go on vacation, but I'm not going to go on a plane and go to you. Like, so, they're not doing that. Yeah.
Xbox sales are down 6% as of an article I'm seeing April 30th, 2025.
That's recent.
Gaming revenue as a whole is up 5% year over year.
And that's probably because of different consoles and Game Pass
has increased 8% as well. So like as a whole, like as expected, as we've seen, like their hardware has like slowly been going down, but everywhere else they are making up for it.
So you're telling me,
again, and the no fucking idea what he's talking about.
So you're telling me in the arena that they were already losing money in, they're making less money on that, but in the software department, which is what Microsoft is known for, they're making more money.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Whoa, legendary drops, dude. Well, let's see how political he gets here.
Piracy is on the rise because indie developers are putting out breakout hits. Because the EU Commission is now targeting microtransactions. The tide is coming in, and you're all about to be washed out.
He's
initially
like,
what the fuck?
Okay, this is like a really annoying petty thing, but he tries to be like really like poetic.
I know.
He's a lot of his descriptions and so many things, and like to his credit, I think one of the main reasons why like he's gotten like fucking 350,000 subscribers over the past like year or something is like, to be fair, he is very articulate. Like he is good at speaking. He's a good orator. Like he has good pacing in his videos. But he's so fucking stupid to anybody with more than 2 brain cells.
Yeah, like, and I think it's exactly it is the appearance of authority and intelligence. Like, I'm not saying he's dumb or anything, but like, yes, because the way that he speaks, he's very articulate, more articulate than me when I get, because I get too emotional. But that's another thing to do by design, though, right? They keep the emotion out of the voice, but not out of their words. So people think, oh, I'm very smart, I'm intelligent, but you're also advocating that like everyone who is under 5 foot should off themselves. But I'm saying it in a way that's very that's very fucking simple. Like, nope, this is fact, this is true. But the fact that he's just like, there's a rising tide and you're all going to get washed out because the EU is targeting microtransactions. Does he think only Microsoft does microtransactions? Has he never heard of FIFA, the mobile shit from EA? Like,
I didn't have a chance to like segue this into my video, but in another video he did about like Steam or whatever, it's called like Valve is on a warpath or something. It has like over 1 million views. It's fucking crazy.
What?
And in that video he like glazes Valve about like how good and great that they are, and how like, oh, you know, we might be up to, or we might essentially be at their discretion because they have a more or less a monopoly on a lot of the digital gaming space with Steam, but they're nice and we like them, so they are good. And also he never mentions that Valve is like one of the warlords of the online gambling epidemic with like, all of the
CS:GO shit and
like, it's so specific to what he wants to reality to be. It's so
but
oh God.
Valve has always had the reputation of good guy Valve, right? Good guy Valve. Valve is so good, they're so great, they're so awesome, and then you just ignore the fact like Studio was a Campo Santos who did Firewatch, which I loved, was working on a game called In the Eye of the Gods, and then Valve like absorbed them and said no. Valve, the same Valve that was like, we actually don't have bosses. We kind of let people we do vertical stuff. So we have a horizontal type of leadership. So we just let developers develop what they want to develop when they want to do it. And say, oh, cool. So they can do this game? No. Oh, well, Valve, they're never going to release like, Half-Life 3 or whatever, even though I heard a rumor they're going to. But it's like
There's been rumors for like
years.
Yeah, right.
But they get away with that. Like they get to just do that because gamers would be like, oh, but we love Steam. Oh, but we hate every other launcher. We hate all that shit. But I'm going off topic. Let me see what he says here.
GameStop, Xbox announced price hikes across the board, increasing the price of digital games up to $80 starting next year, and increasing the price of their hardware and accessories anywhere from $20 to $30 to even charging $729 for the Xbox Series X 2 terabyte console. More expensive than the PlayStation 5 Pro. Pricing yourself higher than your competition who's outselling you 3-1 is a bold strategy and not one that I was expecting. At the end of my Oblivion video, I had said, I don't trust these companies to make smart choices, and I hate being right. At first, I thought Xbox was pricing the Oblivion remaster at $50 as a direct response to Nintendo increasing their prices and dropping their Zelda remaster at $90. And honestly, I still think it was. Asmongold nailed it on Twitter. He said that 2025 and 2026 will be the years of remasters and remakes, cheap to create compared to a new game, quantifiable existing audience, boost visibility for upcoming titles, Gears of War E-Day, little to no risk of controversy or boycott, literally the easiest dub.
Okay.
Gotta beat the troops.
That
reminds me. I gotta text my friend in the Navy. He fucking every Memorial Day, I always text him, hey, thanks for your service, man. And he fucking hates it. It's my favorite thing ever.
All right, while you do that, okay. This isn't even this is like he nailed it. This is happening now. This is the point of remasters to begin with, though. This isn't like a new 2025, 2026 for the year of the remasters. That's been happening since 2018.
Mm-hmm. Also, the assumption that they're cheap to create is completely
wrong.
Incorrect.
Yeah. Even say compared to
risk of controversy or boycott. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. No risk of controversy or boycott. Weren't people literally trying to boycott the remake of the Lara Croft stuff because they had the statue, or it was Legacy of Kain. They changed the statue to make it less hot or whatever. And to say cheap to create, even compared to a new game, makes no sense. I mean, I guess depending on what the game is being remade or remastered. But if it's Oblivion, not cheap to remake.
Yeah,
Ninja Gaiden, not cheap.
The entire game from scratch in Unreal and shit. It was nuts.
Different engine. Quantifiable existing audience. Again, that's not necessarily true. If I say, hey, guess what, gamers? I'm remaking Vex. You remember Vex, the game from 2003 that was the last game from Acclaim? That's going to be a guaranteed dub?
I feel like the only remasters people actually give a shit about are the ones that are extremely well regarded for it's why people including me, I will admit this, are still coping over a Knights of the Old Republic 2 remake. I would love Knights of the Old Republic 2 remake to exist, but again, if somebody remade fucking Dungeon Siege, I mean, I would shit my pants, but 99.99% of the gamer sphere has no fucking idea what those janky ass RPGs even were. So no, nobody would care.
Yeah, I'm making big. Hey, bros, we're here. We're Square Units. We're remaking Dragons, whatever. Ugh, give me a second. Hold on. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the remix.
Remix.
Yeah, people aren't going to. It's not a guarantee. That's what we're getting at, right? I have a question. What game was boycotted recently? Successfully boycotted?
Oh, that's a good fucking question. I mean, has there ever been one?
I want to say no. At least not in the last decade. Because the biggest one people tried to boycott, legitimately, was Hogwarts Legacy, and that didn't work.
No way, because people are brain damaged and
Yeah.
they see, ooh, Harry Potter. I want to play Harry Potter.
Yeah. And then also, you can't even, I can't think of anything else because Assassin's Creed didn't work.
Assassin's Creed didn't work. I mean, like I hesitate to even call Concord a boycott because it was just dog shit. Like that wasn't people boycotting it. That was just people not playing a game.
Yeah.
That was bad. Also, shout out to my boy Koi Callisto in the chat. He's my homie. He makes good shit.
Oh, hello, dude.
Yeah, like I can't think, like I can't think of an actual boycott that like actually mattered, because I feel like the sphere of people who like actually care about this stuff is like significantly smaller than the casual audience who will just like get a thing because they think it looks cool.
Exactly. Like I don't think people really truly understand, as I say this as a person whose content revolves on this shit, right? But like how small this area is in comparison to the casual crowd. Like most people didn't even know the difference between Marvel and DC movies that come out, right? Like people aren't gonna know the difference between, oh, this is a game from Capcom, this is a game from Warner Bros, this is a game from Microsoft, this is a game from, like, they don't care. They don't care. Whether it's good or bad, people don't care. They're gonna buy a game because like the trailer looks cool. They don't give a shit if the
and COD get like dog shit reviews every year, and
every year,
always the highest selling games constantly. Like
every year. So I'm like, so they're thinking that people are gonna be like, literally the easiest W in the industry right now. The easiest W in the industry right now is just to do a sequel, not even a remaster. It'd be easier to just do a sequel because you do have a audience in the current zeitgeist that you can manipulate. A remake only has value if the IP has value.
You in the industry right now. Honestly, I cannot believe that this guy can find time to post industry insights while also doing home improvement.
Glaze.
But honestly, he's not.
I know
wrong,
it's a joke,
especially when that remaster is as transformative as Oblivion's, and especially if it's priced
thanks for the sub.
fairly. New releases are a minefield right now, plagued by creative missteps, content that nobody asked for, and player backlash. So returning to the past makes sense. Players want something familiar, something proven. Reviving these beloved games with modern upgrades is a great way to answer that call while avoiding any backlash that's been plaguing a lot of these new IPs and modern releases.
Wait, I know. Listen, Hassan's not the only pause champ, okay? I know we're 3 minutes into this, but I find it always telling the way they love to romanticize the past as if there was no issues in the past, as if Oblivion itself had no issues in the past, right? There was no bugs, there was no nothing. People want what's familiar. Hey, legendary drops. I don't know how to tell you this, but people in 2025, a lot of them weren't even fucking alive when the first game came out. And now they're playing it now, not because they're nostalgic for it. It's because they've never played it. This is, in fact, a brand new game for them. I played Resident Evil mostly through the remakes. I've been doing back and forth, the remakes and the originals. But I played most of the series because of the remakes. And then I went to the original. I didn't have nostalgia for Resident Evil and then played the remakes. I saw this, like, that looks good, and then I played it. So that's the average consumer. They're not saying, oh man, look at this Mummy movie from when Brendan Fraser in 1999 reminds me back in 1932 when the first one came. I'm like, no, like, you have no reference for it.
Yep. Like I've seen people like talking about Oblivion, like specifically in terms of the bugs, like how a lot of them like still exist, and they almost like romanticize it as a part of the experience. Like, this jankiness of the time is a core part of like that feel that makes the game that game. Whereas, you know, if there's like a bug in like a modern game or something, it's like unacceptable and people freak out. Like,
oh yeah, dude.
It's like, oh, I'm so much of the next video that I'm working on is talking about this like idealization of the past and like the vision of the future. I'm reading some books about that now in my book club. Shout out book club.
Oh yeah.
It's like the nostalgia is so overwhelming. Like it is far too much, and it is kind of like distorted our perceptions of like how we view like the present and what it should be, and the future and what it should be. And that second part to me is what I find quite interesting, is because like when there's so much like nostalgia and focused on the past and like almost these lost futures of what could be, and a lot of these people's fucking rhetoric, like you almost lose the ability to envision a different, better future that that you can actively work towards now by like making new games, new art, new experiences that could take you into that future that you want.
You know,
like, it's honestly kind of horrifying. It freaks me out.
Well, you're right though, but the irony here is he's advocating for this, right? But was he not also just glazing Expedition 33? That game didn't come out in 2002. That's a modern game. That's a modern game for modern audiences. Obviously, it has its inspiration from past RPGs, but it is a modern game. And the reason why it works so well is because it understands its genre and it modernizes it and presents it in a way that people can attach themselves to. Because when people think of modernization, they only think of like graphics. They don't think about the way stories are told. They don't think about the way characters act, right? Like dialogue, more naturalistic dialogue, having people talk over each other, having people being maybe a little bit more quippy, maybe too much quips if you're like a Marvel person, but like having people interact on a more realistically human level is a relatively new things in gaming. Because back in then, when it was especially text-based, it was just, I need you for an assignment, I need you for a mission, I'm gonna leave. You're in my party. Like I was just playing Final Fantasy Rebirth, right? I haven't finished it. I'm on like the last like 2 chapters. But as a person who played the original Final Fantasy, the way the relationship dynamics changed just by simply having you interact with your party members outside of who was the most optimal for this fight completely changes the experience of the game. Because now characters that were considered to be annoying and optional are now mandatory. And while they still might be a little bit annoying, at least it's by design, but you can understand their characterization. Like Yuffie in the original Final Fantasy VII was annoying as fuck. All she did was steal your materia and that's it. But at least this one, because they added more context, like she's from Wutai, they're actively in war with Shinra. You understand that like she's young, but she's talented, but she's also impulsive and brash. And on top of that, when she interacts with people, because she's not optional, it gives it more weight. Because now like Yuffie isn't just like someone who says shit no everyone can ignore because she's not in cutscenes because you didn't have to pick her up. Her and Vincent, they're part of the story. That's a modern thing. Like, but these guys are just so like, well, back then, women had boob armor and now they don't. And that's why it's better back then. It's like, dude, like you're missing the point.
As somebody who has like honestly never played a Final Fantasy game, it's really interesting to hear you talk about like those additions that they made in the new versions. Because like that is a proper way of engaging with the idea of a remaster or a remake. Like,
yes,
flesh out things that you can or cannot do. Like one thing I read that I really loved that they did in the Oblivion remake is because originally they were like restricted in terms of voices that they could do for the different races. In this new version, they went back and recorded new versions in like different dialects and tones for the new races for the races in the game, to give them that extra like in-world texture that they couldn't do in the first game. Like stuff like that is super important to making things feel fleshed out. And yeah, like there were pieces of that in the past with games like National Republic and things like that. But I feel like, you know, as much as people like to kind of meme on it, like I feel like the Last of Us was kind of like one of the first big games to really like push that idea into like the broader gaming sphere of like, oh, this is what like game writing at the very least, this is how you can use the technology to create a compelling story. Like this is where we can go. Like
yes,
this is what we can do.
And hold on in the chat. Excuse me. No, I know Wutai was in the original Final Fantasy set, but that was more so, like you said, a side quest. You know, you go to the Wutai pagoda, you go up the things in order to get materia for Yuffie. But the only thing that happens in Wutai is you fight Don Canoro Corneo, well, I can't speak. Don Corneo, and like he fight like bad raps or abs in the sky. Like it's not that important. And it's also completely optional. But let's continue the video.
Though Oblivion censorship has raised some eyebrows. But the part that has been glossed over, the part that deserves a little bit more attention here, is that this isn't just a visibility boost. It's Xbox clawing back into relevance. These aren't just nostalgic remasters, these are cultural recall grenades. And with the $40 Gears of War remaster seemingly aiming at the exact same level of quality as the Oblivion one, Xbox has found a strategy that actually makes sense. Cost-effective, high-quality reminders of what the brand used to be and used to stand for. These games aren't locked behind exclusivity either. They're multi-platform, meaning that Xbox gets to reintroduce itself to players they've either lost or never had. And I'll be honest, I think this is smart. But here's the problem. It completely undercuts their justification for the price hikes everywhere else. Let's be real, Xbox is the last company that should be selling $80 games. Their recent titles have not earned it. When I think of an $80 game, I could maybe spend that on Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Armored Core 6, games that gave me something complete, something real. I'm not thinking Halo Infinite, Avowed, or Starfield, and sure, that's subjective, but it's also about standards. Larian, Warhorse, From Software, they're not milking players through microtransactions. They're not nickel and diming people with battle passes and half-baked launches. They sell you a game. That's it.
None of those games
Now,
he said earlier had any of those things.
No, and also, no one knew Baldur's Gate 3 was going to be as big as it was going to be. And I'm talking from someone who played Divinity Original Sin 2. I have played Larian games before. I still think Divinity is way better than Baldur's Gate, but no one knew it was going to be that big. He was like, oh, I pay $80 for these other games, but not these ones. You also, like we said before, he couldn't have known these games would have been good. He could not have known these games would be good. And also, what does that mean? Like, let's really interrogate that. So quality is some points objective, but mostly subjective, right? Because I can say that this game functionally works. I can play this game. But if I say this game's a high quality, what does that actually mean? Like, does that mean, what does it mean? Story, acting, graphics, replayability? Like, what does that mean? What justifies an $80 game if that's the metric?
Yeah, it's so dependent on so many factors, both like on the game itself, like what kind of game is it? How much stuff is in there? Is it good stuff? Is it recycled? How long is it? How short is it? How meaningful is it? And then there's also, of course, like the broader standards of taste and quality that we have amassed as a cultural unit and how we like view that in comparison.
Thanks for subscription.
And that could you're all good. Gotta shut out the subscribers.
Oh yeah.
And then there's like obviously personal taste. Like I like fucking for me, like games like Mouthwashing, Signalis.
Oh, you have excellent taste.
Viva, like I like those. I paid like $15 for Signalis, and I feel like I should have paid $60. Like,
oh yes,
like I got such an fucking Outer Wilds. I would drop $200 to play Outer Wilds in a fucking heartbeat. Like it's so hard to justify this in any meaningful way that doesn't like descend into standards of quality that can tiptoe so easily into some like versions of quality for a hyper specific group that they feel validated in. Like,
exactly, right? Because you could say, oh, this is a high quality game, it's worth $80, and I'm like, it's a visual novel. Why would I pay $80 for a visual? And it could be the visual novel equivalent of Mouthwashing, Signalis, Neva, Outer Wilds, Red Dead Redemption 2, like Expedition 33. But it's not high quality to me because why aren't the graphics bleeding edge? Why isn't the music an orchestra instead of like these MIDI files? Like, why isn't like this instead of that? So when people talk about the quality of games too, even that in itself, there's a larger conversation to be had, but these people bringing it up are trying to, my understanding is they use quality to just simply say, I liked this game and it looks good. That's quality. That's a quality game. If it looks good and I like it, it's quality, which if that's their standard, that's fine. But then to say that like, oh, but Halo's not worth $80, maybe not to you.
But I think there's also a popularity element
True.
to quality that has popularity like kind of attached to quality in a way that the right kind of people think it's popular. Like
Mhm.
the right kind of people like like how popular Expedition 33 is. Like, oh, this is a game for gamers. It's smart and intelligent. It's giving gamers what they want, blah blah blah. But despite Halo Infinite being like incredibly successful and well done, like for some reason, like that is not a game that is good popular, or FIFA is not good popular, or Call of Duty is not good
Right.
popular. Like,
You know what it is, dude? You strike me as also a film buff, right? You watch movies.
love me a film. Yes.
Right. So it's to me, it's the same thing as, oh, you watch Avengers. Oh, you like Sinners. That's cool. But have you seen this French Nouveau film? It's an art house film. It's called like Le Petit Amour de Francois. It came out in 1912. It was just like it wasn't even filmed on a reel. It was kind of like someone just drawing pictures. You wouldn't. It strikes me as that, like, you like the popular thing, but you like the bad popular, like you're saying, the bad popular thing, and that shows you're not a real gamer. Oh, you play Madden? Oh, you call yourself a gamer? It's like, well, yeah, Madden also makes like $1 bajillion a year, so it's Call of Duty. But no, you see, this indie team made this game, which is almost as good as the things I compare it to the industry standards. Therefore, it's a good game. And I'm like, okay, but you're comparing it to this standard, which is a popular game. So is popular game not good? Like, is Fortnite trash because it's popular, but like some smaller like indie game is better because it's less popular? Can they have equally good things in each game, but you just find one thing to be more your speed? Is that is that a possibility? And that conversation never comes up. It's always just people like this and it's cool, so it's popular. So I'm gonna either automatically love it or automatically hate it. And there's no nuance.
Xbox, on the other hand, survives off of the back of Call of Duty microtransactions and reoccurring subscription revenue. Their games have not hit. Their platform sales are down. And now, with the excuse of Nintendo increasing their prices to $80, opening the floodgates, Xbox is the first in line to raise their prices across the board. Games, hardware, all of it. Doesn't feel strategic. It feels desperate. I mean, just last year, Phil Spencer said that raising prices beyond $70 could become manipulative. In his words, we went through COVID. We found more ways of getting more money per player. I think that at some point you reach the peak of that. And frankly, it could go to places that are manipulative. And I'm not a big fan of that. Then Microsoft would then go on to record $94 billion in profit. They would then double their growth. Their valuation hits $3.4 trillion.
Hey, but didn't you just say they were like afraid of money or losing money or some shit?
No. This is different money. This is different money.
Because like their platform sales are bad, but they just made $1 trillion.
And suddenly we are expected to believe that they have to increase prices because of rising development costs and economic uncertainty. Snakes in the grass slither fast. I said this in my Oblivion video, and I'm going to say it again. Xbox may be the weakest platform right now, but that's exactly what makes them the most dangerous. With Game Pass and cross-platform releases, they can undercut their competition on their competition's own platforms. But instead of using that power to offer better value, they're just hiking their prices like everyone else.
But that is a bet. Oh my God. We're only 6 minutes into this.
Oh my God.
But okay, but do you see why like my react videos to like a 12-minute video is like 40 hours long?
No,
It's like
yeah. I truly applaud you for being able to do this. Like that's why I can like go down like a rabbit hole a month. Like I don't know how you have the fucking mental fortitude to like do this so frequently.
I hate misinformation. This is my neurodivergent trait. Okay, I hate it to such a passion that makes my skin boil. Because like, okay, so you're telling me that this would be so much easier if he just said, damn, capitalism sucks, right? Like then we could be like, yes. I know, but it's like, but like, because he refuses to do the actual easier thing than just saying, man, capitalism's bad. He has to do all the same. Well, look at Microsoft's doing. They're not only are they making more money, but they're still trying to cut costs by raising prices across the board, putting their stuff on other people's platforms, their competitors, and undercutting them because they can just fund them to Game Pass. And it's like, yeah, dude, welcome to capitalism.
That's how it fucking
That's how it works.
dude.
It's how it fucking works, dude. Like, yes, they can do this because it's beneficial to them. If they made $60 billion 1 month and they don't make $61 billion the next month, they will fire 10,000 people. Like, that's just how capitalism works as a nutshell. But they can't say that.
Even if they make more money, they'll still fire people anyway. Because
Yes.
that happens all the fucking time.
Yes. Hi-Fi Rush was a banger. Shadow dropped.
Rush
Banger
is
again.
sad.
And they're like, okay, Tango, bye-bye. Even though you did what you're supposed to do.
The fucking Marvel Rivals,
Yep.
North American team, like all got canned.
Cancelled,
after
yeah.
that game like blasted records or something, like unfucking real.
Because that's an expense we don't need, even though it ultimately wouldn't hurt us. It wouldn't help us more. Like it would, like if I have to pay you $20, but I'm making $22 a second, and I have to pay you $20 every hour, I'd rather not pay you the $20. So even though you helped me launch my game and all that shit, we're gonna get rid of you actually. But he's attributing capitalism to just Microsoft.
This is why I say every fucking video, we don't need a culture war, we need a fucking class war. Baby.
Yes,
Like,
we do.
It's just too much.
This is my job, dude. I'm trying to raise class consciousness. Like, maybe if this my videos start popping off and he sees it, he'll be like, wow, I can take my anger out on more targets. That's more content for you, Legendary Drops. You can you can attack the industry as a whole. I've done it. It's great.
I want him to see my videos so fucking bad. I want
me
him
too.
to react to my videos so fucking bad. Fucking if Jack Sadler can see the video that I made on him ages ago when I was much more of a little baby channel, then god damn it, Mr. Drops, react to my stuff, please.
We have to, in order for this to happen, we got to get more in the mud, dude. We got to be just like, I'm trying to, my whole strategy, and I don't care if people see me saying this, is to do essentially what they do, but as a person who's debunking it, just so people can't ignore it anymore. Like, if you're sick of me making this stuff and debunking their shit, you should be sick of them putting the shit for me to debunk. Like,
yeah,
you want to get rid of me, do that. I mean, it wouldn't work because I can have the content.
People like you who make like this kind of like content, I think are like super important because, you know, like people like me could like drop a fucking video essay once a month and it's like fine or whatever. But like that's once a month. And I think like having more people who can do this kind of shit like with the more urgent frequency that like these ghouls are abusing the platform.
Yes.
Like, I think that's super important to like have the like counter movement, so to speak.
And that's honestly why I stopped because I did start doing more like calculated, like longer form. Like I did my whole video about like how the right dominates gaming, right, and how they work that in there, and that took me a while to do. Yeah. But while I'm working, doing the research, pulling things together, there's 100 videos saying this game is gay and bad, and it's because of the women. And it's like, okay, we have to keep the outpace up. And honestly, there are much better content creators, like yourself included, who do much better with the longer form, deeper dives. And I'm more of quick hits. Like, hey, let's get in there, let's debunk, let's get another debunk, let's make fun of these clowns, but also illustrate why they're wrong. And his whole thing can be summarized as, I don't know what capitalism is, but I hate it.
Yeah, like you're so good at like thinking faster than me and like talking faster and going at this faster. Like my brain like takes so long to like process and deal with shit. That's why I need a fucking month to make a video. And I really, really admire people like you who can just go fucking like light speed blasting these fucking nerds into the stratosphere where I'm like charging a power shot in the background. You know?
And that's the dynamic we need on this. Like people who can be like, you guys are like infantry, I'm infantry, right? We're going there, guns blazing, and then you have the snipers in the back where it's like, okay, perfect shot, line up, headshot.
They issued a statement saying, we understand that these changes are challenging, and they were made with careful consideration given market conditions and the rising
Because
cost
I
of
don't
development.
disagree with
Sure,
him
careful
about
consideration.
the CEOs
You
being
realize the whole thing
liars.
is them passing the buck to the players.
100%.
You know, everybody
Yeah.
wants to pin these price hikes on the U.S. trade war, and while that might be an agitator, I'm not buying it. Xbox is behind in the console race. You really don't think that there isn't a stockpile of unsold hardware somewhere? That Xbox that you're buying off the shelf right now wasn't made yesterday. It was made months ago. If these tariffs were such a serious issue, they could just slow down production, stagger the releases. Hell,
He's
with
so
the profits that
stupid.
they're pulling in, they could eat the costs and not even feel it.
He's so stupid. He's so stupid. He's so stupid. I don't understand how you can say any of these words with such intense confidence.
Didn't you hear though?
Oh.
Didn't you hear though? When people make consoles, they make them that day. It's like going to fucking fast food. It's piping hot. You went to a restaurant. That food was made the second you ordered it. When I order my PlayStation on Amazon, there's a man waiting by to start assembling the PS5.
Like, oh, like the fact that he thinks that Microsoft can eat the cost of making all these things in the US. Don't get me wrong, that would be cool.
That'd be sick.
More jobs for us in the homeland. But like, there's an entire fucking reason why there's like political wars and massive geopolitical maneuvering done over fucking Taiwan's chip making and China's infrastructure and their ability.
Well, no, dude. All you got to do is just wait. Just wait.
Fuck! I wish I thought of that.
Just wait, dude. Just wait it out. Just wait. Just eat the cost. And also, maybe we look up how tariffs work, because it doesn't matter if I wait.
I want to know if like he's one of those people who thinks that like they pay the tariff and not we pay the tariff.
He did say they want to pass the buck off to the gamers. I think he understands that we be hitting the cost, but what he doesn't understand is it doesn't matter if they wait. They still have to make this stuff, and they're still going to be hit with because they're importing it. Doesn't fucking matter if they staggered their release to have more consoles available. Like, and what's even the logic there? Because he's saying they're not selling units. So then sell the units to what he was saying. So still produce and then just wait to release. Because if you're saying stagger, it means you're building up your supply. But he's also already stated that Xbox has sold so much less. They would already have a supply, but then he's mad that those are old Xboxes, not piping hot new Xboxes.
He's also saying this with the assumption that like these massive multi-billion-dollar companies with immensely complex supply chains don't continually readjust how much they produce on a constant level. It's like
it's just I don't understand capitalism or the economy, and I'm scared. Like this is what I'm getting.
Tariffs are just a convenient scapegoat. And even if they were rescinded tomorrow, these prices would stay the exact same. What absolutely drives me up the wall is how transparent this whole thing is. These price hikes are a direct consequence of poor planning. Rising costs wouldn't be a factor if you hadn't bet your entire hardware operation in one country. If it wasn't for tariffs, it would have been something else. Supply chain failure, political unrest, a factory fire. These are self-inflicted wounds.
What did you think
Microsoft should have just pulled hard on its straps, and then I'm sure that would have made it do much, much better.
Why does he want Microsoft to function so much more radically different than like the companies he's not mentioning? If Sony, guess what? They make their stuff here. Sony, if their factories burnt down, they would also be fucked. Like anyone would be fucked over if I have a company that does my chips in Japan and someone who does like my transistors in like Korea, or someone who makes the actual physical consoles in like Europe, and then one of those places gets bombed or supply chain issues happen in a different part of the world, I'm gonna get fucked regardless. Like his idea seems to be like Microsoft should have just stayed in America, did everything in-house, then the tariffs wouldn't be a factor. But the prices would still be up because they would make us pay more, because they have to pay certain people more too. They don't have to pay people who work in fucking different countries the same rate because those most likely do not have unions. They don't have the same sort of protections that we have here. Like, again, if you understood the wider web of things, you wouldn't be saying shit like this. Like, it's, oh my God. It's just like, oh, you, again, please just pick up an economy book, pick up a fucking history book. Just understand, like, there is no American company on that scale that is just in America. It just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist.
It's almost like there's a reason why we have a massive global web of international supply chains that allows the entire economy to function. And when people are closed off from that, like Russia with all of the sanctions, it goes fucking horribly.
Yeah. Also, again, he's acting as if this is just a Microsoft thing, as if grocery stores aren't fucking having empty counters now, as if like the cost of vehicles hasn't gone up too, as if the cost of like wood or things haven't gone up also because of tariffs on Canada.
If I were to steel man his argument or his framing, I would say that he is saying that like this is a broader problem with like more companies and things, but Microsoft is being hit the hardest, so they have to adjust. However, even if that was what he was saying, it's still ignoring the fact that if changes like that were to occur, you know, in the past, when companies have had entire monopolies on their own supply chain, that's gone fucking horribly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it wouldn't offset anything, right? It would just be like, okay, yeah, like, oh man, you guys should be able to focus your supply chain should be localized. So okay, cool. Now I have monopoly on all the shit happening in this area.
This is how like so subtly like not to be political or anything.
Oh, never on that channel.
Right leaning rhetoric can like so easily lean into like this kind of framing because this is some truly like isolationist shit.
Yes.
Like wants, you know, America to be like, oh, produce all of our stuff homegrown in America, you know, not interact with other communist countries and things like that. And it's so subtle, but like if you know what to look for, like you can find those nuggets everywhere.
Yeah, and then I'll let it play. Just the idea that like, okay, let's play out this universe where Microsoft is the only company that didn't do anything out-house, right? Everything's in-house. You are talking about how these other companies are outperforming Microsoft. Now, what do you think would happen if Microsoft would have to rely on chips in-house, which means Microsoft would have to have a whole different production line? Like, Microsoft as a company still outsources things. It still gets its stuff from other countries. That's how it works. Mostly in Korea, like most people, their phones, our computers are assembled over there and come over here. If they did everything in-house, they would be like 20 years behind because they would have to start having a new system. They would have to onboard multiple people. Like they would have to, and then also try to maintain their competitiveness. And again, I'm not trying to defend companies, but it's how companies work. Like, you have competition. If your competition is doing something cheaper and quicker and you're doing it slower, we were just talking about that. These grifter channels, these slop channels, right? These AI slop or just regular slop tubers can pump out 4 videos a day. If my output is 1 video a month, if I'm fucking like H Bomber guy, where I get 3 videos a year and you're putting out 3 videos an hour, I'm never going to be able to compete with that. The output's too high. Even if the quality is bad, the output's way too high. It doesn't matter. Like, remember when Microsoft had a Zune and the Zunes were identical to the iPod?
From the past.
Yeah, right. But because the iPod already had such an established base here and they had millions upon millions out in circulation, Microsoft couldn't keep up. That'd be the same situation. Like, the company would just fail. Like, it's so like, just a lack of understanding of business works.
Why are all of these companies hiking their prices, slashing jobs, and trying to gaslight us into thinking it's all for our benefit? Well, the real answer is investor pressure.
Right.
That's it. Gaming has become a hotbed for investors. It's not like traditional industries. Once hardware is out of the way, it's pure margin for the most part. No factories, no trucks, no physical goods, just code. And once they got your attention, they can sell you the exact same pixels over and over again. That's what they're protecting. Not the cost of development, but the rate of return. Live service games have become the golden goose in this industry. Infinite growth, infinite spend. You don't need to sell a game anymore. You sell a lifestyle. Look at Take-Two. Their entire business is propped up by two things: GTA Online and NBA 2K's microtransaction economies. EA, the same thing. FC, formerly FIFA, Madden, Apex Legends, 3 live service ecosystems that print money daily. Activision Blizzard, the only reason that they were worth $70 billion for Microsoft was because of World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. No innovation, no creativity, just predictable revenue.
Okay, and so this is what bothers me about him. Like we were talking about before, when I said that was true. That's the current state of the AAA industry. Is we are looking at ROI at all costs. Line must always go up. Investors want to get a huge return on their investment. So what better way than to make a perpetual money-making gimmick, making everything microtransactions, live services. Like, you don't have to put out a new game. You just have to work on the same game forever and you maintain everyone's attention forever. Your Fortnite, your Apex, your Modern Warfares, your World of Warcraft. Like that's 100% true. Like that's true. But then he's going to land at a completely wrong conclusion, because what his conclusion should be from this logic is, and this is why the AAA gaming sphere is unsustainable, because infinite growth is not possible. What only way they're going to get infinite growth is if they consistently make the same slop over and over and over and over and over, become more risk adverse, and then our art dies. But he won't go there.
Games like his precious Expedition 33
doesn't exist.
Not exist.
Fun fact: the guy who did the creative director on that game talked about how he worked at Ubisoft, and he said if I were to pitch it through normal AAA channels, it would have taken like 2 decades to come to fruition, which lets you know how stagnant development is for AAA titles. But let's see where he lands on this.
And it's that predictable revenue that has completely warped the conversation around development costs. We keep hearing about how games are more expensive to make than ever, but what they won't say out loud is they are the ones who made it that way. You do not get to cry poor after making billions of dollars in revenue, hiring thousands of people across a dozen studios, scaling up to unsustainable sizes, and then acting shocked when your overhead crushes your margins. GTA 6 is the perfect example. That game is taking longer to develop than every GTA combined. That's not because of creative ambition. It's because the machine behind it has become bloated, inefficient, and addicted to scale. That's not spending smarter. That's spending more. And they're expecting us to pay for it. What makes this all the more frustrating?
Okay. Again.
Not completely incorrect.
Not correct. Weird that this is about Microsoft, though. Like, he's just talking about GTA. But yes, ballooning development costs do come from the fact that these companies are getting more ambitious, but also because they think that's the way to get the most money. If they make a big open world game with a bajillion things to do and it costs $100 billion, they think they will make $300 billion back, which is not how it works, but that's their thought process on it. So yeah.
It feels like Bungie is probably the best example of this, because the disaster that is Destiny has been churning along, and Bungie Studio has expanded so much to keep up with Destiny. Even though, like, I'm gonna be honest, I am a D1 Destiny hater. I think that game is fucking dog shit. It never should have gotten the second game. It should have failed a long time ago. But because the core gameplay is so good, and they've got so good at doing their microtransaction shit, all the gamers kept and stuff to keep going.
Yeah.
So
it's just like, again, he's not completely wrong here. What makes it so frustrating, because like we both know he's going to end up in the wrong result. But even with this part right here where he's kind of right, his focus is so narrow. Like, his whole video could have just been AAA game is unsustainable, and it would be like, oh, banger, that's it. 9 minutes long, that's it. That's all you need.
Frustrating is that this industry is not struggling, not even close. The last 30 years have been defined by record-breaking profits year over year.
All of this is shit that I've been saying. This is all I've been saying. The AAA industry is not sustainable because all they care about is money. And I'm not talking about developers, I'm talking about these investors who are behind the developer. Like, they all care about money.
Over year, Xbox just had its best year ever. None of these companies.
Like, I said that shit during when I was talking about studios being closed.
There's no scaled back bonuses, just mass layoffs and price hikes because they want to keep the party going at the top while cutting off everything else or just making you pay for it. And that's the thing that they don't want you guys to think about. This isn't about inflation. It's not about tariffs. It's not about rising development costs. It's about control.
Yeah,
Xbox wants these price hikes. Ooh, they want them badly because if they can make traditional gaming so financially exhausting, $80 games, $700 consoles, $100 accessories, so they can herd their players towards services that they can control. Live service games, free to play, Game Pass, cloud gaming, controlled storefronts, closed ecosystems. The long game. They're just trying to boil the frog. These guys aren't even competing with each other anymore. It's so transparent. Microsoft buys Activision for $69 billion. Sony buys Bungie for $3.6 million. These aren't random events. These are symptoms of a market consolidating so aggressively that there is no pressure to undercut each other. No official collusion, just a shared understanding that if they all raise prices together, the customer will have nowhere else to go.
Again,
it's almost like the free market isn't really that free.
This is someone walking ass backwards into like economic theory, like didn't know about like the 3 studios in Hollywood and how they controlled everything, or like how like the phone industry was just like 3 companies, or really Pac Bell, and it had to be broken because of like monopoly laws. But this is someone who in high school just skipped all that and is just now finding out like, hey, if they just all decide to raise their prices, we don't have any other options and alternatives. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is so indicative of like the kind of larger, like this, granted that this mindset is like very rapidly dying, I feel, but there's almost this like idea that there's almost this like level of honor to engaging with the economic system, like Valve. You know, Valve is one of the good ones. They're doing right by us gamers. They're doing good, and people assume that like capitalism, not to be political, is a system that will work, and people are doing that. But people are slowly waking up to the fact that you succeed in capitalism not by actually participating in capitalism, but engaging with it in such an exploitative way that completely goes around all of the ways that it functions to put yourself at the top and exploit the systems in ways that it was not meant to be used.
Yes.
Like there is no correct way of doing this that is not being used. Like this is how it's meant to be used, and that's why it's a problem.
Yes, it's built on exploitation, whether of people, of rules, of ideas, whatever. If I can make more money by putting my shit on more people's consoles and then paying people less money, I'm going to do that. If I can make it so that like, it's, even though he went kind of schizo posted talking about like, well, it's a big space, they're making games more expensive, so you have to come to their platforms. Like, well, the games are still expensive, but it doesn't matter even if I buy it on Game Pass. The other cost is my computer, right? Will I have a PC that can run it? Nope. Okay, now I have to buy a graphics card or a new processor, or hey, I have to get a PlayStation 5, which also costs more money because didn't PlayStation also increase their prices too? Like,
I'm pretty sure they did. I think you're right about that.
Like, didn't everyone increase their prices? Like, there's discounts happening for sure right now. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah,
the temporary discounts
increases again by about 50 euro or so.
Yeah. So like
$80 or so.
Yeah. So even, and I think it went by Japan too. So, but I know this is American centric, but still they're a global company. Everyone's increasing their prices. So like Microsoft is probably still undercutting the competition by not increasing as much as they could do. But again, this is just like, yes, this is how capitalism is won. This is how they do this. You're just now understanding, thankfully, how it works and how it affects people. But then you watch like his other videos, like you watch this and then you see the Polygon video and it's like, what happened?
That's the thing though, is like he's not understanding it. Like
No.
he's not understand. Like he's like saying the things that should indicate that like there is a level of understanding,
Right.
but then he like goes to the complete wrong conclusion.
Because you see this video, he's like, wow, even if they make money hand over fist, they will still do cost-cutting measures to make the most money possible because these investors. But Polygon being sold off is just because Polygon sucks. And like there's no
straps.
There's nothing else. It's Polygon just sucks. Even the most basic Polygon, ew, poo-poo. But even the most basic thought process would be, well, you only buy things because the brand has value. So if you can get it at a discount, you would take it at a discount. But you want to keep the brand. It's the reason why people are calling Elon Musk a moron. Well, multiple reasons. But the fact that he wanted to take away Twitter and call it X. I'm like, you bought Twitter because Twitter, the brand, has value. It has awareness. It's brand awareness, literally. By changing it to something else, you are defeating the purpose of purchasing that app. You could have just made your own app for cheaper. Like,
in this day and age of unbelievable production of everything from like physical goods to like symbols, like value is in brand. It is it is in optics. And that is what people pay for. That is why Apple is so that's why Apple can do everything Apple does, because their brand is so perfect. It's so pristine, it's so well constructed. It has this aura of value, and that's why, you know, Microsoft has played their game not the best, but especially with all that fucking AI garbage, that's why the stock market's constantly going up and down.
And like, Google fucking
so much. It's so optics oriented. It's all optics oriented. If we're being real here.
No, it is. That's why, like, even like Google, people, oh, Google's great. It's like Google's destroying the world with the AI, but like,
fucking sucks.
But I can search good. It's like yeah, like he does this, then he's like, it's so infuriating, bro.
Like it's going to benefit the industry in some way. They blame global instability, rising costs, economic pressure, but they're just using it as a smokescreen to justify whatever their next gamble is, the next experiment. All of it, every last move is designed to shift the cost of their mistakes onto you. This isn't a strategy, it's survival. It's desperation.
Wait, didn't he tweet? Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he have a tweet talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 about like the price not mattering? Like, wasn't that in your video where he's talking about
what he I don't know if it was about Grand Theft Auto 6 specifically, but there was that tweet that he made about inflation and prices.
Yes, but wasn't
not mattering.
But it was like it doesn't matter, right? Because like the value or whatever, like if it's good, people will buy it. If it's not, like whatever. Like, wasn't that like the gist of what he said, or am I misremembering that?
Was it? Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Send it to you on Discord.
Yeah. Okay. Let me real quick, because yeah. Nobody gives a shit about inflation. No one gives a shit what a $50 was worth 10 years ago. They care how much $80 to them today. And to a lot of people, as T-Mars, Jimmy should fuck up. Teaching moment. Okay, so So his understanding of inflation is it's so stupid, because he says no one gives a shit about what it was worth 10 years ago. Yes, they do. You give a shit now, because you were just talking about how Microsoft increasing their prices. Well, if they're increasing their prices, that means they were cheaper a while ago, right? Games used to cost $50, then $60. Now they're $70, now they're $80. But people do care. And people care because of inflation. Because inflation's not fucking real. So you're right, though. He's so against inflation, like being a problem, but now he's talking about people raising prices for whatever reasons. But if the reason's inflation, he doesn't care. But if it's any other reason, now he's saying like, wait a minute, that's bullshit. Like, no, like you have to be consistent.
That's dressed up in a suit and tie. And the more they raise the floor, the more players are going to start looking for the exit. Man, Xbox really loved that quote from Ubisoft. Players need to get comfortable not owning their games. They thought to themselves, that's a strategy. That's a plan we can get behind. Let's make the market so uncomfortable for players to own anything, to own games or to own hardware, that the low income and middle income customers are likely to take the bait and go for Game Pass or go for cloud gaming or any of these other subscription services. Because why would I pay $80 when I could pay $20 a month and play all of these games rather than just get one little measly game. I mean, these.
But that's okay. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Deep breaths. So this is again baby's first introduction to capitalism, but that is just a value proposition. Like he's under the assumption that this is just Microsoft, even though he stated Nintendo raised their price to $90 for the Zelda game. But he's under the impression that this is a Microsoft exclusive thing. Now, if we live in this reality where my option is I pay $80 or I can pay $20 a month and play games that are worth $80 and I have little money, which value proposition is more appealing to me? Do you think I give a fuck if I can't own this thing? If I'm paying $10 and you're paying $80 and you still can't own the game? Because that's also a thing too that he doesn't want to talk about. Well, maybe he will. You could buy a game digitally or physically and still not own it because they can make it so the game itself is
services are.
Why did it just change? That was weird.
Spooky.
Yeah, they can make it that the game itself is just online and the disc has information, but you don't need access to it, or it's digital. They can revoke it. So you can't mention poor people, middle class people, and then say, well, why would they want to have this value proposition? Because then what's the alternative? Nothing? Like, God, this makes you sound like a fucking shill, but I'm just explaining basic like business sense here.
No, yeah, like it's the exact same people who like fucking called me like a fucking games industry shill when I was like teaching people how to properly engage with video game reviews, because like they see any form of defense of or any form of correction of like the viewpoint of how you should engage with something as shilling for it. It is so absolute. Yeah. It's
so crazy though, because I'm like, he is demonstrating where his knowledge it doesn't exist, right? And you're like, hey, actually, the reason why they would do this is because, like, obviously the goal is to make money, but they're going to do this in a way where it actually, like, Game Pass is objectively better for a consumer if you have an Xbox system. It is. You can, for $20 a month, I can play Doom, I can play Exorcism 33, I can play Halo, I can play a bunch of
games. Great.
Yeah. I can play even smaller indie games. It actually helps indie developers a lot too. Like, there's a lot that goes into there. And I'm not saying they're perfect because no one is, but this idea that trying to funnel people to Game Pass is inherently bad on the surface is idiotic, because then you have to ask, what's the alternative? They never asked that. They never asked the alternative, which is why I made that video specifically about gaming sites. I'm like, okay, what's the alternative? Yeah, what's the alternative to this then? And they're just like, I'll trust YouTubers. Cool. So this guy's your news source?
They're
like,
so fair. They're so cheap. They're so effective until next year or the year after that, where because of rising development costs and economic uncertainty, the price has to go up by $10 or $15. But don't worry, because just like Netflix, we have an option for you price-sensitive customers. Game Pass Basic with ads. PlayStation Plus Basic with ads. Ubisoft Basic with ads. Then after that, they're going to start selling you frame rates and resolution. We've seen this happen before. I don't understand how people think that this isn't going to happen. I've had people push back on it. That's not what's going to happen. What? Are you stupid? You deserve to pay these prices. Gaming is slowly being monetized into a hellscape like every other industry that's out there. And it's all to attract more investors. Notice how every single year they have to break record profits. Higher and higher and higher and higher without ever trying to lower their floor. The funny thing is,
that's capitalism.
This isn't like any other industry. We have options. We can go anywhere else that we want to. Hell, we're not even buying most of your games to begin with. I don't think that they understand how much trouble that they're.
Okay. No, please explain to me. Please explain this to me. Okay. Just please explain to me.
Yeah.
Throughout this video has talked about, obviously he's singling out Microsoft, but he also did mention Nintendo doing this. He also just said PlayStation Plus with ads, just like Netflix, just like this. But he has other options. No, what are the other options?
The other option is to go down by the river and play with sticks in the mud. That's the hot new game on the market, baby.
Actually, no. I just looked it up. There's a subscription service to the water now. So you have to get Aqua Prime, and then you can go and play with the sticks. But the sticks are a $5 add-on, so you can't do that for free. No, but
wait, can I buy different colored sticks?
Yes, you can buy different color sticks, but they're limited time only. They're doing a summer floral sale. So if you want to get in, you have to get it now.
Wait.
This
Is
game's
it gotcha?
no. It's a loot box. It's loot box. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah! I love gambling. Let's go.
Yes. And if you do ahead of time, if you just give them $100, they will increase your odds of getting that stick by 20%. So it's a pretty good deal.
No. I want them to decrease it, so I have to grind harder to spend more money.
Right, real gamer shit. But like he just says things. He's again, but he's not offering the alternatives. What is the alternative in this hellscape of a system, which I agree we live in? What is the alternative outside of no longer engaging with my hobby? Because if everywhere I look, it's monetized to hell, then the only other reasonable option is I guess I just can't play games anymore. Because if I swear to fucking God, if he talks about indies as a savior, I'm going to kill myself. Because that's not how this works.
Yeah, it's so like again, all these other companies are doing this, and they don't seem to be having a problem. Like fucking Metaphor Refantasio dropped at 70 buckaroos and did crazy fucking numbers. Love that game. And in terms of like where else are we gonna go, like you're completely correct that he doesn't have an answer. He doesn't have an answer to all of these things, which is why he just like does these vague, scary allusions to what will or will not happen depending on if it's good or bad for his narrative. And it's just so exhausting.
It is, dude. And we're almost halfway through.
They're in right
now. I can't
because one, I don't even think players are going to buy into this.
Yeah.
There's going to be some people that are going to hop on the train of some of these.
I'll keep it going. I'll probably pause this so I'll talk for a while.
Bigger games that are going to come out that we know for a fact are actually good, and if it's $80, people will still pay for it. But for the most part, when I talk to other people about these price changes, people will train of some of these bigger games that are going to come out that we know for a fact are actually good, and if
again, how do we know for a fact they're going to be good? This is what I'm talking about. There's like, he seems to be relying on this sort of shared information that he thinks we all know. Like, oh, of course this game will be good, right? Like, oh, well, it's by this company, of course it'll be good, because there hasn't been any instances where a company with an established track record has made a game that wasn't that well received. Oh, what was that? Mass Effect Andromeda? What was that? Anthem? What was that? Dragon Age Veilguard, even though it was considered a success internally, they still were like, fuck it, screw it. But like, there are so many companies out, so many developer companies, so many publishing companies that have put games out that, going by their track record, you think would be bangers and absolutely weren't. So how do we know that this is for 100% gonna be a banger of a game? You don't at all.
Okay, I'm back. What shit did he say?
This
people, they're going to hop on the train. One, I don't even think players are going to buy into this. I'm sure that there's going to be some people that are going to hop on the train of some of these bigger games that are going to come out that we know for a fact are actually good. And
yeah, I was saying, like, how does he know for a fact they're actually going to be good? Because other companies have released games that weren't good. That, I mean, fuck it. Arcane Leon, right? They did. Was it Leon or whoever was in Texas? Arcane Texas did Dishonored 1 and 2. Great games. Did Prey. Great games.
Austin,
yeah. Did Prey 2017. Great game. And then they released Redfall. Right? And it's like, well, we should have paid $80 for that because we knew for sure it was going to be good because it came from that company. But it wasn't good.
Prey is one of the most underappreciated games of like
100%.
Fucking like 15.
100%. But he's talking in these absolutes where he's like, well, we knew it was going to be bangers. I'm like, well, you don't.
Did you? If it's $80,
you
people will still pay for it. But for the most part, when I talk to other people about these price changes, when I see my YouTube comments or I see things that people say on Twitter, it's apathy more than anything else. They don't care. Okay, I wasn't going to buy it anyway. That's the attitude that I'm seeing. I mean, all of this price pressure that
which is true. Right now, if I see it on YouTube channels and Twitter comments, that means it's true.
Is coming from AAA, which nobody's really buying right now. Sure, a couple of those games are doing well, but the vast majority of them are not. Why would I want to spend $80 to play Fable next year when I could use that money to buy 2 Expedition 33s?
Fucking. Hey, being right.
It's a curse.
It's. And much like Cassandra, I am doomed to be saying these things and no one will listen, but we persist. You could buy. Did you know Expedition 33 was going to be a banger? Like, for sure knew that. Like, you 100% knew that. Why would I buy a game that hasn't come out yet when I could buy a game I've already played and I liked? Dummy.
Ooh.
Why do that? Hey, why would I eat this new food when I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Even though I had to also, at one point, been introduced to a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I liked it. Why would I now want to try this game? Why do I want to try and do some flavor? It's like, how incurious of a person are you? You don't know. Fable could be the next Expedition 33. You don't know.
What's so funny is, like, earlier in this video, he was talking about how, like, these companies like Microsoft, like, should go back to, like, you know, doing remasters and remakes.
Yes, I was about to hit that point.
Gamers fucking want. It's like, bro, make up your fucking
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Just the level of inconsistencies is insane within his own videos. And it's not just him, it's all these guys. They're so inconsistent. And people just like, I think the way that people watch it is that they obviously watch a 26-minute video within 26 minutes and not 2 hours. But they don't listen to anything that's being said. They just wait for the things they can be like, yep, he's right. Reaffirmation, confirmation bias. Yep, those are the words I want to hear. And next video. Like,
I think how people engage with these is like they almost engage with them in like these little compartmentalized chunks where like they listen to this part. It's like, oh yeah, 100%. And then they like forget it instantly. And then they go on to the next part. They're like, oh yeah, 100%. And then they forget it instantly. It's like that like 8 times for the entire duration of the video. And that's how they can be so inconsistent and yet have like what?
300,000 subscribers.
Has like fucking like 1.5 billion views on his last 3 fucking videos.
Yeah, it's
like, total fucking crazy.
It's fucking crazy, dude. Like, yeah, you were saying before though, like, yeah, they should go back to do what they love. Well, did people not love the Fable series? Because they're doing that again. Like, well, no, not like that actually. Because,
my bad. It's because I'm fucking gay.
Yeah. There's a woman in the league. I don't want to play this game.
Doesn't make any sense. You know,
also, sorry, ADHD kicked in. He says this statement, and I just can't let this go. Where is it?
Nobody's really buying right now. Sure, a couple of those games are doing well, but the vast majority of them are not.
Please, sources cited. He said the vast majority of AAA games aren't doing well. Can we just let's just look at game releases real quick. I'm gonna pause. Game releases 2024. Let's just see. Our top selling games. How about top selling games 2024?
There's been a lot of bangers so far.
Well, let's just look at just 2024, right? Let's see if any would be considered AAA games. And let's say new releases, because otherwise it's be cheating, right? If we say like fucking like Minecraft or Grand Theft Auto 5, we know they're still doing very well in the AAA games. Mario Kart, Pokemon, Red Dead Redemption 2, but that came in 2018. Let's go to, this is Wikipedia. Let's go to a different list. Let's go to like r/video games. No, I can do that. Let's do, okay, Statista. There we go. Let's see how many of these are actually just AAA games. Except all. Okay. So all of them.
Yeah, Call of Duty.
All of them. All of these games. I think, okay, maybe Helldivers was it?
I think technically it's a AA game, maybe.
Okay, so we'll take off that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero with the full price. That's AAA. NBA 2K25 AAA, and Madden AAA, Call of Duty AAA, EA Sports AAA, Elden Ring AAA, EA Sports Hogwarts Legacy, Dragon's Dogma, WWE.
There's also Monster Hunter Wilds and Assassin's Creed Shadows,
and that's just
not on this list.
Well, this is for 2024. So if we, I want to see a full list. So NBA 2K24, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Tekken. So besides like Minecraft doesn't count and Grand Theft Auto 5 doesn't count, all of these are AAA games. Every single one of these are AAA games. Every single one of AAA has got.
Robot.
Yep. Top games so far, 2025.
Indiana Jones game.
Yep. The Hogwarts Legacy is still making money.
Persona 3 Reload.
It's
technically a remake, but I fucking love that game, so I don't give a shit.
Red Redemption 2. Okay, Man NFL 25. Grand Theft Auto 5. Forza Horizon 5. That's AAA. Yeah.
Silent Hill 2. The Shin Megami Tensei game.
I would say Split Fiction probably more of like a AA because he doesn't really charge that much for that stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is that more of a AA game?
Well, let's see. If Split Fiction, let's see how much. You can really just talk about the price, to be honest.
Have you played Split Fiction?
I haven't because I don't have.
So good.
I want to play it, but Joseph makes all these games that I can't play. $50. So we'll say AA. He makes these games I can't play because I don't know how people to play this with, so I can't play those games.
I'd play it with you. That shit was fucking great.
Oh shit! Then yeah, we should do that one day. Just set that up.
I have it on my account, and I don't know if you know how it works, but if one person has the game,
the friend pass.
Person, yeah, the friend pass, so you can just like download it without having to pay any money.
Oh fuck yeah, let's do that. Okay, but I'm looking right now. These are all AAA. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a AAA game for fucking sure. That's not even debatable. Oblivion Remastered, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Monster. Yeah, so he's saying the AAA games are doing pretty bad, and even though his video was in fact, a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. These games were out before then. I would love if he just brought sources for that, just to let me know. Like,
why would I want to spend $80 to play Fable next year when I could use that money to buy 2 Expedition 33s? Doesn't make any sense. The worst part is they need to charge a lot more than $80. Because the EU is about to pull the rug right out from underneath these guys.
Politics?
You know what I find interesting?
Nope, can't be politics.
Aren't yelling anymore. Not like they used to. We've been through the same outrage cycle so many times that the tone has shifted. When people are talking about $80 games or $700 consoles now, it's not anger. It's apathy. The reaction isn't don't do this to us. It's go ahead and destroy yourselves. I think that's where I am with a lot of this right now. I find their missteps to be more entertainment than their games are anymore. The bad games, the price hikes, the censorship, the controversy, sitting back and watching PlayStation continue to chase the live service ghost as Marathon and Arc Raiders drop their alpha tests right next to each other, and the contrast between the two couldn't be any more glaring. Marathon losing players every single day. Their alpha was out while Arc Raiders kept growing. One game feeling like it's going to be the next big thing, and the other one feeling like a trend chaser that's trying to fit in with the cool kids.
Okay, so are we watching 3 different videos? Because now he's talking.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. How did we get here?
Because now he's talking about, again, it's just if he enjoys it, he doesn't care. Because isn't Arc Raiders also a fucking live service game?
It's 100% a live service game.
Like,
yeah, I played the test. It was fun.
Wasn't he just saying that the problem is that these investors are just trying to find infinite money? And by making
no. See, the problem that you're suffering from is that you don't realize that he likes Arc Raiders, and that's why it's good that Arc Raiders is crushing Marathon. Which Marathon is bad because we don't like Marathon.
That's right. It doesn't matter if it's the same symptoms; they're the same disease. It's just we prefer this one. Okay. My bad.
Exactly.
Because I'm a big dumb boy, and I thought his problem was the rather predatory practices happening in the AAA space, including investors seeking high ROI, becoming at the expense of gamers while draining them nickel and diming them, because live service games famously don't do that, right? There's no battle passes, there's no paying for cosmetics, there's nothing like that. So, that makes sense.
Again, another game being made by a studio with half of the amount of developers. The highest levels of this industry have become so disconnected and so corporatized that they are blind to what players want. They think that our complaints are nothing more than whining. They listen to their board of directors or their sensitivity training. They're more worried about...
Wait, I'm sorry. You see how you try to sneak that in?
There it is. The
sensitivity training. You see how they try to sneak that in? Just going like... Yeah, it's just in the board of directors. There's sensitivity. It's like, wait, what? What's that last part?
Sensitivity training is more important than
what is that?
Making money, even though they're making a shit ton of money.
And what does that have to do with anything, right? And he knows what he's doing. He's trying to associate that with these are also part of the ills of the gaming industry. The CEOs, the investors, the sensitivity trainings. Like, wait a minute. only one of these things have a direct impact on the people who work there, right? Sensitivity trading is not for like the game itself per se, but mostly for like the people who make the game, so they don't feel, you know, prosecuted or ostracized or anything like that.
This is that same thing that we were talking about earlier about like sneaking in that right wing rhetoric, because you know it's something I'm sure you've noticed all the time in the news about saying like DEI, diversity, blah blah blah. That's the reason for like that fucking plane crash.
Yeah,
a couple months ago.
Didn't you know?
Like that's the reason.
The reason why that ship crashed into the bridge twice is because of DEI from different countries. Right?
Women drivers, am I right?
Right? You want to know why I was going to say something so fucking whatever. You know why 9/11 happened? It's because the pilots were, that's DEI. Had they had white guys riding it, would have never happened.
Their next
would have never happened.
Customers, we've become the last thing on their minds. And when you ignore us, we start to ignore you. Your games, your platforms, eventually all of it becomes a symbol for everything that people don't want or want to support. So we start going somewhere else. And that's exactly what's happening right now. I mean, the 3 highest player rated games of this year so far are Expedition 33, Blueprints, and Split Fiction. All of them launched at $50 or less. Split Fiction just passed 4 million copies sold. Expedition 33 hit 2 million copies sold in 2 weeks. Games made with a fraction of the money in a fraction of the time with a fraction of the developers, providing exponentially more creativity and enjoyment. These aren't flukes. These are signals, and they're being ignored.
Can we, okay, I'll make a note. We're at 15:23, right? That's the time right here. Can we go back to Legendary Drops talking about the Oblivion remaster real quick? I'll let him speak about this uninterrupted too.
2025 and 2026 will be the years of remasters and remakes. Cheap to create compared to a new game, quantifiable existing audience, boost visibility for upcoming titles, Gears of War E-Day, little to no risk of controversy or boycott, literally the easiest W in the industry right now. Honestly, I cannot believe that this guy can find time to post industry insights while also doing home improvement. But honestly, he's not wrong, especially when that remaster is as transformative as Oblivion's, and especially if it's priced fairly. New releases are a minefield right now, plagued by creative missteps, content that nobody asked for, and player backlash. So returning to the past makes sense. Players want something familiar, something proven. Reviving these beloved games with modern upgrades is a great way to answer that call while avoiding any backlash that's been plaguing a lot of these new IPs and modern releases. Though Oblivion censorship has raised some eyebrows. The part that has been glossed over, the part that deserves a little bit more attention here, is that this isn't just a visibility boost. It's Xbox clawing back into relevance. These aren't just nostalgic remasters. These are cultural recall grenades. And with the $40 Gears of War remaster seemingly aiming at the exact same level of quality as the Oblivion one, Xbox has found a strategy that actually makes sense. Cost-effective, high-quality reminders of what the brand used to be.
Okay, so 15:23 now. That was a while.
You got that point like exact. Like you were right fucking there. That is impressive.
So let's just play it now.
These publishers are still operating like it's 2016, thinking that a massive budget, cinematic trailers, and a big IP is enough to be able to capture everybody's attention.
Hey, so I have a question for those playing along at home, and for you, Noah. What is he against? Is he against the cost of the game, or is he against live services, or is he against, like he just said, companies using big IPs and flashy stuff? Because he at one point said that he likes that Microsoft is doing this. Now he won't admit this, but we will get to Onimusha in a minute. Okay. He won't admit this, but the only reason why Microsoft can do this and sell this game at a lower cost is because they have enough money to do that. And they got the money by selling games at full price. That's how it works. The bigger companies, the bigger AAA stuff, allow for the smaller games to get made, right? That's always how it works.
Own Game Pass,
yes,
which is what it's on. It's a massive chunk of money,
which gives them more money, right? That's cost effective. But he also states that he hates Game Pass. That's where Oblivion is, and that's where most people are playing Oblivion. Otherwise, if it wasn't on the Game Pass and they did this, this would 100% be a full price game. It's not a small game they did. It wasn't a small undertaking. This still cost resources to make.
Yeah, if anything, it wouldn't be like, you know, quote unquote full price. It'd be like in that higher threshold we were seeing. It'd be like
Yes.
$70, $80.
Yes. Same thing with the Gears of War E-Day, because that is also available on Game Pass. So they're getting the money either way. They can sell it for $39.99, but you're also going to play it on Game Pass, right? That's their goal. So without Game Pass, which he says is bad, that also becomes a $60, $70, $80 game, because the amount of time going into it, we don't know for sure, right? But safe to say, porting it to a different engine, updating it, just keeping its netcode up to date, all that stuff isn't cheap. So they would still want to make money off of that. They can eat, quote unquote, eat that cost because it's on Game Pass too, which is also what they own. But if he wants Game Pass gone, and he doesn't want these companies to make these big, expensive games, because these indie games exist, but these indie games only really exist in this market because those big games exist and they're allowed to be, you know, to create and whatnot. Highlighting 3 games, which I think are fucking bangers, especially Expedition 33, does not portend to a new trend, because those are outliers. There's thousands of games on Steam that are worth $10 that are fucking game of the years, right? We were just talking about Mouthwash and like Signalis and all that stuff. But companies aren't going to go for those because they can only make a limited amount of revenue from that. So again, what is he arguing for here? Like, I that's my problem with his videos. I never know what he's arguing, because first he was, these live services are infectious in games and are ruining it, but then he's praising Arc Raiders because it's beating out Marathon. They're also both live services. Oh, but Arc Raiders is a lower cost or whatever. I mean, they have to be free to play games, but like, Arc Raiders has a different small development group, so it's better because they're an indie group trying to get into the live service market. Like, so is it live service fine if it's not big companies doing it? Like, I don't understand.
As I see it, is it literally doesn't matter what the circumstances are, as long as, and I'm 100% serious about this, as long as they feel like they are being oppressed and they have something to rise up against. Like, this is
Gamers Rise Up
phenomenon that I've been like, Gamers Rise Up, that I've been like really interested in, is the idea that like, it's something that's been talked about in psychology before, is the idea that like the act of your enjoyment of something being repressed becomes the enjoyment in and of itself. So
yeah.
you slowly learn to like get that enjoyment, that satisfaction from the very act of the repression that you claim to not want to be involved under. And I feel like that explains literally every single one of these channels.
No, oh my God, that's a fucking perfect summation of them, because it's true, right? Like, they want to be able to, and again, I kind of talked about this in my right-wing video, right? Where like the gamer identity has been one of outcast and one of oppressed, right? Like, you were a loser nerd playing games growing up, and now it's popular, but you still want to hold on to that. And now their new identity is, oh, I can maintain my gamer identity by being oppressed, because now I can just say these companies want us dead, or this and this and the third. But then when you hear their actual arguments, it's just, what the fuck are you mad about? Like, if you're mad about games going up, okay, be mad, but then you're not mad about game prices going up actually because you don't believe inflation's real, but also it's because, well, these game companies are greedy. Okay, I agree on that. But you also want them to release remasters, which you just said was a for sure way for them to get money and all these things, which is still greed. So you should be wanting them to make newer games, because then that would show they're more creative. But then you're saying, well, new games have bugs and they do bad, so don't make those. Do safe. Safe means guaranteed money, which is greed. So he's at odds with his own argument. Like, I don't. How do you live like this?
Markets do change. Just look at the top games on Steam right now. Most of them are cheap, old, or indie. Outside of Baldur's Gate 3, it's almost impossible to find a full-priced game that has cracked the top 10 for longer than a week. That's why these price hikes just don't make any sense to me. A study last year showed that nearly 60% of all playtime was spent in games that are more than 6 years old. The only new titles that have seemed to be able to break through are either free-to-play, high
Those are also all live service games.
They're all live service games.
Like, you're not making the argument you think you're making. Also, curious, 1 second. This looks familiar. I'm going to say this title, Zach Zywison, 60%. Yeah, I want to see where it's from.
I want to say that's a PC Gamer article.
Zach Zywin? Zach Zywison, 60% of gamers or games ever. Nope, I knew it was from fucking Kotaku. He's fucking Kotaku. Fucking Kotaku. I knew it. I knew it. What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Kotaku is good.
What? That's why you have to crop it out that way. But what did I fucking tell you guys? I said, if you can't get rid of these places because the YouTubers you watch get their information from these fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it works. It's always this. This is how it fucking works. The fact that he went and cropped it out so you wouldn't know it was Kotaku is insane to me. And it's more insane that I have seen so many Kotaku articles that I can identify where it's from. But to bring this, oh man, dude. This is why I do it. This is my hit. This is my dopamine hit. Yeah. Oh, I love that fucking vindication. It's right in there, dude. It's fucking straight in there, dude. Like using Kotaku, which is no different than Polygon to these people. But they're actually reporting news I can use, but I won't have the Kotaku on there. Like, and again,
to his credit, I am surprised he is
kept the name.
Those like janky substacks that a lot of the gamer use. Like
Fandom Pulse.
Yeah. I fucking love that. Where they just like straight up inject like anti-Semitic conspiracy into their gaming articles. Bro, it's the best thing ever.
I love Fandom Pulse and like the cosmic book news and bounding into comics because those would be the only websites where if I know a specific grifter tweet, I know that's a headline on their website. When Vara Dark was talking about how no one was covering the Lollipop Chainsaw repop because Juliet's too sexy or whatever, and the only people talking about that game was like bounding into comics and Fandom Posts. I'm like, no one's talking about it because no one cares.
That's like her whole channel is reading their fucking article. Like I honestly wonder if she like contributes to them, but she's just reading her own stuff. I don't know.
Well, that's what, dude. They, especially that Park Place too, they fucking are just an Indiamon mouthpiece. They'll use 5 articles from his one video. It's crazy. It's so fucking crazy, dude. Yeah. By the way, you guys, chat. This is Crimes New Roman. I'm talking to right now.
The only new titles that have seemed to be able to break through are either free-to-play, high-effort indie titles that are priced fairly, or massive AAA projects that actually deliver what players are looking for, like Monster Hunter Wilds, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Black Myth Wukong, or Space Marine 2. So while these companies keep tightening their grip, pushing subscription models, raising base.
No, my brain doesn't like this for some reason. I'm going to listen to it again.
Effort indie titles that are priced fairly, or massive AAA projects that actually they're free to play. 6-year study last year showed that nearly 60% of all playtime was spent in games that are more than 6 years old. The only new titles that have seemed to be able to break through are either free to play, high effort indie titles.
Okay, that's why I don't like. I understand it now. Okay, thank you, brain. So notice how he starts using hyper specific adjectives, where he's like free to play, high, and he's like high quality or high effort indie titles, which are fairly priced on whose terms, who knows. But then he gets hyper specific on these things because he's trying to like get ahead of the counter argument here, right?
Titles that are priced fairly, or massive AAA projects that actually deliver.
Massive AAA projects, but he said massive AAA projects aren't good, so he says but ones that deliver. That's every game.
It has to be successful.
That's every game, right? Like, exactly. It has to be successful. So like, there's also, guess what? There's indie games that weren't successful and they were still high effort and they were still reasonably priced or not success, right? There are AAA games, massive games that he mentions that are successful, but they still are made through the same mechanisms which you were just crying about earlier in the video. Like, what does he mention?
what players are looking for, like Monster Hunter Wilds, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Black Myth Wukong, or Space Marine 2. So while these companies keep tightening their grip,
does he not think that these Black Myth Wukong, I believe, what was the company that helped make it? Was it fucking Sony?
Let me Google it.
I'm 99% sure.
The game. So
Me neither. It didn't get an Xbox with
they developed by Game
Science. Yeah.
Did they developed and published by Game Science? I guess it was. I don't know how. Like, I know that's a Chinese company. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's Chinese. Game Science. Okay. Oh, you know, I'm thinking my bad. I'm thinking Stellar Blade. I'm thinking my Stellar Blade got help from Sony to make that. Yeah. Right. But like,
near Automata.
But like, oh yeah, I'm still gonna play when it comes on PC though, because I said I would. I need a near fix. Yeah. Yeah, I was telling you about that. I'm like, my reason for not playing these games isn't because like, oh my gosh, she has titty stuff. Because I play games on PC. Like that's it. But like, but back here though, like he's talking about how the games that succeed are fine, but the ones that don't succeed, like, yeah, dude, like that's how it works. The AAA games that managed to delivered.
Yep.
Like that's how it works.
Pushing subscription models, raising base prices, and padding every single experience with battle passes and microtransactions, they're missing the bigger picture. The model they're chasing is already collapsing. I mean, take a look at high-budget movies and streaming services right now. The same industries that these guys are trying to emulate are already burning out. Just last year, PC Magazine published a report showing that internet piracy is on the rise again, up 36% from 2020. Why? Because content is fragmented across multiple services, prices keep going up, and value keeps going down. Does that sound familiar to you guys at all? According to the study, piracy sites received 141 billion visits in the last year alone. That's more than the height of COVID lockdowns. The US leads the charge in piracy traffic, and it's not just movies and television anymore, it's games too. Because when you lock all that content behind 6 different paywalls and continue to raise the prices.
Okay, I might be exposing my power level here, but I promise Nintendo I'm not a hacker. But as someone who's been on the internet a long time, the fact that he's saying like it's also video games now, video games have always been. Maybe hypothetically speaking, maybe there's a program I use called Alcohol 120% or Damien Tools. And maybe I was burning ISOs, and maybe hypothetically speaking, I was playing Final Fantasy 7 on PC, and Final Fantasy 8 on PC, and 9 on PC. Maybe hypothetically I did that using no crack CDs. Hypothetically, of course. This is pure fiction. And maybe this is when I was 16 years old, which was not this year. This has always been a thing. It's always been a thing. Someone's going to dump the files onto the internet in an ISO or a bin file. Again, hypothetically, I would know what this means. And then people are going to download those things and play games like that. That's why we have emulators, which again, Nintendo, I've never used. Please don't come for me. But he's exposing the fact that he's so unaware of like larger gaming culture and like how piracy actually works. Because yes, piracy does increase when people do not have access to things. However, even that in itself is not an alternative, because now you have to find a site that stays up long enough for you to use consistently. Hopefully they don't get clapped, and then now you have no guarantee of the quality you're going to get. You're bitching about games now. What if you get a game when they're only available in a language you don't speak? What happens when they have de novo protections and they crack it? Sure, they get rid of it, but now your game doesn't run. You didn't have a legitimate version of the game. Your computer's fucked. Like, what are you going to do now?
Even outside of all of this, outside of all of these things, he's so conveniently ignoring the mountain of research and studies that have shown that piracy doesn't have any negative effect on sales of anything ever. If anything, a lot of the time it's been
a boon.
Beneficial for people to play something and then talk about it and be like, oh, I definitely didn't, like it's not like I regularly use websites like Anna's Archive or something.
No, I would
download an unbelievable amount of books. I never, ever do that at all. And
we're not criminals.
But hypothetically, if I were to do that, in the past and I got a book that I really liked, I'd be like, oh, I like physical copies of books that I think are cool. I go and buy the physical copy of the book, which I always do because I never pirate things ever, because I want the physical version for my collection. And I tell other people that this is good and they should go buy it, or I give them the PDF and then they buy it.
Yeah.
It's even though I've never done anything illegal in my life.
Me neither.
It's
Live in jaywalk.
Just saying words. Saying words together. No idea what.
And can we talk about the one market he's completely missing his analogy here? Console players. Console players who make up a majority of the sales that people are focusing on, because other sales are done through digital storefronts, which typically take a percentage, right? Whereas buying from the console, buying it via the console, they got all the money, right? They can't do that. So even if I'm a PC player, I'm not the only gaming demographic out there. And a lot of people, when they make these games, it's for the consoles and it also goes on PC. Because games on PC have a completely different ecosystem. You can release a game for 99 cents. You can make a game for free on PC. It doesn't fucking matter. PC has crazy sales. Steam has sales all the time, but you can do that shit here. You can't do that on their own markets on the console. So what's a console player to do? They can't pirate a game. They would have to crack the security system on their console in order for it to read whatever the fuck they put in there. And who's going to have the physical DVD or Blu-ray for that console specifically made for? Like, there's so many extra steps there. It's not reasonable. Well, hold on. iDoes blame pirates for DC2's underperformance. Creator Clash is a charity event. I think it's a little bit different. But let's continue this. I do have to put on the Misha.
Mad, they just find another way. So audiences today are either avoiding these products altogether, or they're subverting the system to be able to find them for cheap or for free, making all these high budget projects nearly impossible to find a profit in. But that's okay, right? Because I mean, they still have all that microtransaction income to be able to fall back on. Well, I wouldn't be too sure of that. Over the last few months, the European Union has ramped up its efforts to clamp down on what they call predatory monetization practices in gaming, all stemming from complaints about a mobile game called Star Stable Online, but it's quickly ballooned into something much bigger. The EU is now investigating the use of dark patterns, FOMO-driven events, psychological currency obfuscation, and the lack of return policies for in-game purchases. If these rules go into effect, and there is growing pressure to make this law, it won't just affect mobile games, it will impact everything. And I can already hear the counter argument for this. They'll just make a different version of the game for other regions, but that's not going to happen. That's not how modern global releases work anymore. Look how every gacha game or every RPG now shows its drop rates and its gacha rates, and that's all based on a law from China. It tends to not really be worth the effort or the cost to manage different versions of the game. And plus, on top of that, their motivations to make it
wrong about this.
Yes.
He's so wrong about this. One of my deep dark secrets that is getting a live reveal here.
You're a gacha addiction.
I have a soft spot for a gacha game or two that I bounce between. And so I am moderately aware of the gacha dynamics. And there are entire different fucking versions of these games that exist in China, in Korea,
yes,
in Indonesia. They have their own versions with their own mechanics and their own structures and their own content and their own releases. Borderline completely different game. Fucking Nikkei just announced shit for China, and a lot of the US market is incredibly mad because China is getting so much more shit and the US version is feeling like second-class citizens. Like, he is so wrong about this,
bro. Even without that knowledge, he's acting as if games outside of microtransactions don't release different versions in different eras, even if they're global releases. The games know, they know ahead of time. It's not like it's not like they're making games like, oh wait, shit, you can't show this in China. Ah man, it's like, no, they know that. So they know, hey, oh, in Japan, for example, oddly enough, you can't show like decapitations and shit unless you like affect their ratings. So like Resident Evil, we get a more violent version of Resident Evil than they do. And that might be a small example, but they do alter games for different regions. You even have regional pricing. This is like everything. Like, this is literally just like, you don't know media. You don't know
A
media.
different version of the game would be so transparent that it would beg litigation. I'm telling you right now, if a return policy becomes mandatory in one region, it's going to be implemented everywhere. And
Not true.
that alone could shatter the
Not
very
true.
foundation of this entire microtransaction economy. Because these purchases are not made out of value, they are made out of impulse. They are emotional, compulsive, dopamine-driven decisions designed to wear off quickly. That's what they want them to do. And if you give people a few hours to reconsider and refund those purchases, the entire system collapses. And that's not hyperbole. Keep in mind, the most biggest publishers in this industry, EA, Take-Two,
The most biggest.
Microsoft, Sony, Epic, they are all held up by this model. Anything that could disrupt the balance of it would threaten to break the entire thing. Right now, most of the industry's revenue isn't coming from games, it's coming from that ecosystem. Epic has Fortnite, EA has FC, Apex Legends, and Madden, Microsoft has Call of Duty, Nintendo is pulling in billions from the Pokemon titles, and Sony, well, we already know they've been...
Wait. What the hell does Pokemon have to do with microtransactions here?
He keeps bouncing around, dude. My small brain can't handle this.
I'm not a Pokemon expert. Are there like Pokemon
Me neither.
gotcha games out there? Because
I'm not a Pokemon person either. I know there's like Pokemon Go. Oh, there's the fucking what's it fucking called? It's Pokemon Pocket. There's like a mobile game a bunch of my friends play. That's
okay, but like
Pokemon game that's like fucking Marvel Snap of Pokemon or whatever.
but like when you look that up, my brain just goes, okay, but doesn't like Steam offer refunds too? But they can just do what Steam does. Say you can refund this item, but it has to be within a time limit, right? Like
I was just about to say that Steam has had an extremely generous and fantastic refund policy for forever, and it's had like no real effect on anything.
No,
he's saying at all.
Yeah, like I'm like they would just. These companies are malicious when it comes to making money. They're not dumb though. If they knew this law was first, they'd be lobbying against like crazy. But if they knew this law was they 100% are. But if they knew this law was, and honestly, given the fact that the UK government's more right wing, they'd probably get successful with that. But regardless, if they knew this was coming, they would absolutely just do it in such a way that's malicious compliance. Okay, yeah, here's the refund, 100%. But if you play more than 6 hours with this skin, you can't refund it. If you play more than 5 ranked matches with this skin, you can't refund it. They could just do something like that. Because as long as I can offer you a refund, but I can still set the terms and conditions of how long it takes for refunds, the time period. It could be an hour. I mean, because even though it's generous for Steam, right? What if I want to refund an RPG? They say, what's the Steam? I think it's like what 2-3 hours. After that, you can't refund it.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours or 2 weeks after purchase.
But it's like, what if the game is Oblivion remastered, and it's a 100-hour game, and I'm just like, oh well, they say it gets good around the 30-hour mark, and I wasn't like, oh, I have fun. Well, I don't want to return it and then not get the goods. But then, oh man, now I can't play this game. So what are my options? Like, there are still ways around it, and most people who buy these microtransactions, they aren't like, obviously some of them are children, but these aren't like major purchases. Like that's the insidious part. They're like $2, $3, $4. You're not going to have that level of like buyer's remorse. Because if I said, hey dude, give me $2 and I'm gonna roll this dice, and if it's heads, I'll give you $4. If it's tails, I'll keep the 2. And then it's tails. You're not gonna be like, oh man, I lost $2.
Yeah, totally. I think like the slippery slope argument he's trying to make is like, you know, they get you one time, you're in, blah blah blah. Like I've worked for a couple of companies that have like done e-commerce shit, and like if you get like one person to make an initial purchase, even if it's small, the chances that they will make a subsequent purchase goes up by like 30%.
Yeah.
And like it's like if the small thing, then they spend money on like a fucking skin or whatever that they regret or something. But
exactly.
It's
and that's what everyone has whales, dude. Like I don't think he understands the psychology of this shit at all either.
Trying to chase live service games for years, but
of the revenue
this is the only path they have. This is their only path to growth. This is the only path that investors understand. And without them, they're nothing. In 2025 alone, Microsoft's content and services revenue went up by 8%, not because of great new games that they had released, but because of subscriptions and microtransactions. When they acquired Activision Blizzard in 2023, their overall gaming revenue jumped by 49%. Content and services, meaning reoccurring payments and microtransactions, grew by 61%, consuming the vast majority of their earnings. If the European Union cracks down on digital currencies and dark patterns, and other countries continue to regulate things like loot boxes and gambling and video games, it's not just going to be a bad quarter, it's going to be a market reset.
Can I just point out the hilariousness of him using, one thing I hate people do is they just use unrelated background footage to talk over it. I might just do a podcast. Yes. But also the fact that he's using Oblivion, which is owned by Bethesda. Hey, Noah, who owns Bethesda?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, interesting. Whoever owns Bethesda, I feel like they're a company that's engaging in the very practices he is supposedly against, like their microtransactions, all that stuff too. Because I think Legendary Joss believes the money earned by a game only stays with that game. So like Microsoft making $60 trillion from microtransactions or whatever, right, means that they only keep that money from microtransactions and they don't put that into other products that he actually does like. Like, I'm pretty confident that that microtransaction money is why they could even make this Oblivion remake and dedicate resources to it.
Totally. It's such a huge part. And like when it comes down to it, I am not completely against the idea of microtransactions. Like I'm
not either
with playing a free game and then spending a little bit of my hard-earned dollary dues on like a shiny little skin or something nice to help support a company that I like their product because they're letting me play it for free.
Right.
It's being critical of like, hey man, are we getting a little
predatory? Yeah. Like EA did when they had you play was it Battlefront 2 and they would drop the loot box in front of you and like everyone, oh boy, what did you get?
$60 ass game. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
And also the whole CS lottery skins lottery was always crazy to me. Like yes, you guys, Microsoft does own the Bethesda. I was making a joke.
Yes.
I was making a joke, chat. Microsoft does in fact own Bethesda. That was the whole thing. They acquired Bethesda in like 2020, I think. 2020? Let me check. 2020, yeah. And it went to 2021. The whole point was saying that he's talking about how bad these practices are, but he's showing the game that is definitely, at least in part and parcel, created because of said practices. And this isn't me saying those are good practices or necessarily bad practices, but his framing needs some work if he's going to keep showing him having fun playing this game, which he mentioned earlier that he liked, but doesn't want to.
Was just lazy.
Me too, dude.
Just like put fucking game footage and just talk over it. No, I'm so fucking neurotic about my editing and shit. Fuck. It sucks.
Hold on, wait.
That's my ADHD brain. It's fucking annoying.
You're overlooking wasting $360 million in a new game, a new IP versus remastered with 15 years of hype built up. Okay, I'm gonna say a couple of things. There was not 15 years of hype built up for an Oblivion remaster because no one knew that was happening. You can't build up hype for something you didn't know was happening. The hype has been built up for Elder Scrolls, 6? Not Oblivion. Also, we cannot assume every new game costs $300 million to $600 million to make. Like, come on.
That's a Concord.
Yeah, like that's. And you can't also assume that those games that cost that much money to make aren't successes either. Like, I think we're getting too hyperbolic where we're like, well, if it costs X amount of money, it's going to be a bad game. They shouldn't do it. Right? Like, that's my whole point with this analysis is that there is no guarantee cost to quality ratio. Because you can have a game like Balatro, which probably costs like $1,000 to make, be a banger of a game. You can have Signalis that definitely didn't cost as much as a fucking AAA game. Not be a banger of a game. You can have Concords, right? Like the development cost does not equate to its quality. So it's weird when even people like Legendary Drops try to allude to that argument that why would I buy one of these? I could buy two Extras and 33s for $80, but because the price is not indicative of quality.
And most of these
people have been asking for a remaster of the game since the okay, but you keep saying that people have been asking for it, but that's not the same as hype built up, right? Hype is me intentionally getting you excited for something. I'm hyping it up. If I'm just asking you, people have been asking for a fucking remaster for Lost Odyssey, at least in my RPG circles. There's no hype for that built up yet, though. People have been asking for Half-Life 3 forever, but there's no hype built up for Half-Life 3. There's an audience for Half-Life 3, but they're not hyped. Hype is a very specific marketing, in the marketing sense, a very specific and intentional thing. The hype is being built up for example, Gears of War E-Day, which is why they're re-releasing Gears of War on different consoles and doing the Ultimate Edition, doing all those things to build up hype for that. July is when Superman and Fantastic Four come out. So you're seeing more trailers. Seeing Fantastic Four being put in NBA Finals. Why? To build up hype for it. That's not the same, though, as having an audience already existing for it. I have to get you excited for it.
These companies have nothing of substance to be able to fall back on. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think one of the only reasons that we haven't seen any big moves towards regulation of microtransactions is because of the complete economic collapse that it would cause in the gaming industry. These guys have built their entire businesses around being able to psychologically manipulate their audience and extract as much reoccurring revenue as possible. And they've done it while constantly scaling up their companies to absurd proportions, adding more developers, more marketing, and more money. And they've gotten used to this arrangement. The industry is wildly underregulated, which is exactly why it's grown so fast and attracted so much outside capital. But that gold rush is coming to an end. Because if consumer protections start forcing these companies to act ethically or even transparently, the entire business model falls apart. And of course, things are only getting worse for these guys, because add to the fact that one of their hidden...
Why does he sound so gleeful about things getting worse for these guys? Also, I had to stifle a laugh when he said the consumer like protections. Like, hey, buddy, I don't know if you're aware of what's happening around the world right now. There are no consumer protections anymore.
He's just so oblivious to the world around him. Also, I don't know if you have like a stream deck or like buttons or something, but you should make like a politics button.
Oh, I should.
Like a thing pop.
I need to get, you know what my next purchase will be? I'm going to start working for get a stream deck, because I absolutely need to get that shit. Because what do you mean?
Fuck yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Wait, we have to play this again. I'm so sorry.
And of course, things are ethically or even trying to an end. Because if consumer protections start forcing these companies to act ethically...
Acting ethically?
He talks about unregulation. He talks about unregulation.
Yeah.
And then in like the same breath in like a different video, he talks about how like there's too much regulation, specifically with them like forcing like DEI.
So yep.
Regulation is only bad in certain ways.
Yeah, it's only bad to regulate things if it's against my morals and beliefs. But otherwise, hell yeah, dude, overregulate it. And again, here's the thing: I'm not against regulation of the games, but like these guys, it's like, oh yeah, well, we just mean we don't want to have black people in our stuff. I didn't want to see a gay guy kissing in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, even though I control the buttons I press.
I would go so far as to say is that regulation is mandatory. Like the reason why we have child labor laws is because there are people who would exploit children to work in the fucking mines instead of going to school. Like we need these things to keep people from doing shitty stuff, because if they're not there, they will do so much shitty stuff. And look at all the shitty stuff that they do with them there. So it's like, oh my god, it's fucking crazy. I'm
gonna just last time, then I'll move on to this, but. Look at the TSR renewal history. There was hype. It just wasn't on your specific radar. Okay, I'm not being mean, I swear to God, but I need you to understand something. If it's not on my radar, then it's not hype. Let me put an example for you guys. I don't think a bunch of people here watch One Piece, right? They hyped up episode 1000 so much. I was seeing ads for it while I was driving in LA, like on actual billboards, right? They were taking out ads to hype that up, to get people excited. If you go on your specific forums, your specific world, and they're like, yeah, we would really like to have a remaster of Oblivion. Asking and wanting something is not the same as hype, because what are you building hype towards if there's nothing there?
Yeah, I think like maybe a good way to phrase it is like there is like hope and like anticipation that like maybe they would do something like this, which like hope and anticipation can exist irregardless of there is actually like a tangible thing, like a real tangible thing for that to be targeted towards,
right? Okay, that's a better way to put it, right?
Yeah, hype is very much like for a specific existing thing that you are intentionally trying to build excitement for like, the purpose of like buying it.
Oh, perfect,
because it's real.
Perfect example right here. Okay, Hollow Knight Silksong. People have been waiting, anticipating, wanting, hoping for a Hollow Knight Silksong to come out, right? There is an anticipation there, but as the marketing for that, they now have to build up the hype, and because it's been a long time, they have to build back up the hype. Like they have to do the work to get you back being excited. Like by excited, I mean like talking about it, actively engaging in it, like bringing the conversation on social media, building up hype towards it. There's always an audience there, but you have to hype them up, right? Like that's how it works. Now, sometimes what you do is do a shadow drop, which is the opposite of hype, which is word of mouth. You want word of mouth to do the job, not you hyping it up. But your hype does have to build towards something. Hype is a finite thing. It's not infinite hype. You can have infinite expectations, but hype is a finite thing. Like I'm hyping you up right now. I'm saying you're the best. You're the greatest. When I do my lifts, not to be like a bro, but when I like deadlift, I hype myself up for that specific lift. I'm not hyping myself up in general because I need a specific target. Otherwise, what am I hyping for? Like that's what I mean when saying there's no hype. There was no hype for the Oblivion remaster because it was not being built towards. They shadow dropped it. That's not hyping. That's the opposite. They did it without anyone knowing. And people are like, wait, what the fuck? Are you serious? Oh, holy shit. Holy shit. I've been waiting for this. I hyped up Expedition 33 on my channel. I did. By using Oblivion as a reference point. I was building up hype for a specific game. I was building up that hype. There was an audience that I'm building that up. But like just me waiting, because I've been waiting for a long time to get like, you know, Final Fantasy VIII remade or remastered, right? But there's no hype for it. I'm just waiting. If they ever do announce it, I'll be there. But they're not announcing it, so there's nothing to hype up.
Or even transparently, the entire business model falls apart. And of course, things are only getting worse for these
he gets so excited here.
The fact that one of their hidden revenue streams just got unraveled. Ubisoft is currently under legal fire for allegedly harvesting behavioral data through their online-only single-player games and likely their multiplayer games as well. That's why these guys wanted us to be online all the time. Data that they can analyze, sell, and use to manipulate the players, all without ever asking for permission. This is what the modern gaming industry is built on right now.
Wait, so now are we talking about Ubisoft?
Everything goes back to Ubisoft.
It feels so disfocused, like disjointed. Like what? Now you're talking about data collection practices. They all collect your data without your permission, all the time, which sucks. True, but it's not like you were just talking about Microsoft, and then he says, like, what is this transition here?
That's why these guys wanted us to be. Like, Ubisoft is transparently, the entire business model falls apart.
He was talking about
companies to act ethically or even transparently, the entire business model falls apart. And of course, things are only getting worse for these guys because add to the fact that one of their hidden revenue streams just got unraveled. Ubisoft is currently under legal fire for allegedly harvesting behavioral data through their online-only single-player games and likely their multiplayer games as well. That's why these guys wanted us to be online all the time. Data that they can analyze, sell, and use to manipulate the players, all without ever asking for permission. This is what the modern gaming industry is built on right now. Addiction loops, monetization funnels, data mining, and psychological manipulation that's disguised as entertainment. And now that that's all starting to collapse under regulatory pressure, under consumer fatigue, under the weight of a leaner, smarter, and more successful indie scene, these...
What did I tell you? What did I tell you, Noah? What did I tell you? About him mentioning the indie scene. About him mentioning the indie scene. I am Cassandra. For those of you who aren't, those of you who are not aware of why I'm talking like this, the indie scene is not this silver bullet to the AAA market. Because investors are also in the indie scene. People need money to make games because they have to pay people to make these games. Investors are all over the place. Now, investors might invest less money in indie games, and maybe that gives them some of a return, but they're always going to gravitate towards the AAA. When AAA does well, the indie scene also does very well too. Most people don't seem to understand the fact that it is a symbiotic relationship. If investors aren't going to invest in the big companies and the big games, who the fuck is investing in the indie? If the AAA market fails, right, then there's no indie market. Because if I said the biggest league in the world for basketball is the NBA, if the NBA goes away, people, oh, well, there's EuroLeague. Yeah, not the same. It's not the same. It's not the fucking same. It's not the same.
Fundraising is such an incredibly important part of even starting a successful indie game. Finding a sponsor, finding a publisher, like
yes,
reading the backstory on some of Signalis, like Humble Bundle, the Humble Bundle publishing label adopted them and gave them money to help work on it. And then also the thing that gamers hate a lot is government money.
Oh my god, they hate
to realize that there is everything you've ever fucking touched in your goddamn life.
Government money.
Some sort of government money.
The Witcher 3 they love. Cyberpunk 2077 they now love now. Those were all government grants to help make those games.
It is every single aspect of creative work, like from films to TV shows to games to there are so many grants because we live in a world, unfortunately, where that's the only way that the arts can get proper funding. And I don't love it, but if that money is going to the arts to help people make cool shit, then give them all the fucking money that they need to make cool shit.
Exactly. I can't add on to that. Exactly the same. Which is why it's so infuriating to see people talk like this. Now, do I like the way the AAA market is set up? No. And I've made videos upon videos about how it's unsustainable. However, he's trying to say this is the death knell for it. If this is the death knell for the AAA, like in its totality, then indies are fucked too. Because AAA, where people get their most money from, I'm sorry, just what it is. For every game that's like an Expedition 33, which ultimately is not a AAA game, but still does make money, investors want to make more money. They would put more and more into those games. Who knows? Their next game might be a bigger budget game because they might now be attracting investors and give them more money, make a bigger game. And then that's how you become AAA. It's not that big of a jump between the difference between AA and AAA, just resources.
Yeah, and not to bash Expedition 33 or whatever, and because it's amazing. I love it. It's probably one of the best games I've ever made. I've ever played. It's so fucking good. I love that game. But let's be real here. Not all indie AAA games have the resources to get fucking Andy Serkis.
That's what I'm saying, right?
To play their main, to have these really well listed. They got
Charlie Cox, Daredevil.
Charlie Cox, Daredevil. They got the lady who's Shadowheart.
Yes.
Baldur's Gate. They had fucking killer talent in this goddamn game, and
yes,
they not only had people like to say it was made by or 30 people or whatever. It wasn't. There was a whole host of support teams. But again, this isn't to diminish the triumph that they made. This is the actual reality of what it takes to make a game like that. And that's fine. That's great. That's super cool. I'm more than happy for them. I'm just saying, like, that's normal. That should be celebrated.
Yes, no, but that's exactly the point too. You're right. Like people tend to think that, oh well, because it's not like a big publisher. Okay, fair, but look at the talent behind it, right? Like, so I can say it's like Alana Pierce is a friend of the channel. She's we know each other, and she's working creative really on that game, Layers Deep, right? And she's put a video out about it, talking about like she's been all these meetings with investors. The game, I think, has like just now maybe like 10,000 people like on wishlisting on Steam. It's in the top like 1,500 games wishlisted on Steam, which is really impressive for an indie game. But it's in the top 1,500. There's 1,499 other games ahead of it in terms of people's awareness of it and wanting it, right? And she has to go on all these calls and meetings with investors for people to give money. And that is objectively an indie game. Investors are still a part of the development process of them, because who's giving them capital to continue making the game? Yeah, you might have games that have single developers. There's a game I love called Iconoclast, which is made by one person. And it took them like a decade to do it. And it's a 2D like sprite, beautiful sprite. I love pixel art. Beautiful pixel art game. Pretty lengthy too, really heavy themes also, mostly about like religion, deconstruction, stuff like that. But like that took that person years upon years of doing.
Totally.
That's not the norm. Who has years of time to dedicate themselves to a game in this kind of environment? Mm-hmm. You don't. I don't have no idea if Dusk was a one-man project, but if it was, same thing. Most of Undertale was one man. I know Toby had help other people. Essentially, it was a one-man project. But those are far and few in between. Most games need capital.
Yep.
Regardless if it's...
And if you don't have capital, then you have the resources to support yourself.
Yes, exactly.
You have the living conditions within the system we live in to be able to do that, which most people don't.
Listen, Expedition 33, again, I'm going to glaze that game in an official video, but you know when we first heard of that game was... What wasn't it? Not Game Fest, but it was at the Video Game Awards.
Yes.
Like Jeff Keighley introduced it, whether it was at Summer's Game Fest or Game Awards or like an Xbox showcase. Like it was shown in an Xbox showcase. A lot of indie games don't get that kind of attention. It was not just like a blink and you miss it. It had a dedicated time for it to be shown. That comes with money and resources. It simply does. That's you have the money to send in your trailers, or you have the resources to have Xbox come and visit you and help developer directs, all that stuff. Like a lot of things go into it, and he just seems to not care about any of that shit.
These guys are panicking. They're raising their prices. They're pushing subscriptions even harder. They're throttling features and slapping paywalls on content that used to be free. I mean, it's now rumored that Call of Duty is going to start to paywall their events and gameplay modes. I'm telling you right now, this isn't going to work because the players that used to be there aren't going to be fooled anymore. And the ones that do care have already walked away, and the ones that are still there aren't going to be enough. I think I might have brought this up before, but they keep trying to treat this industry like it's every other industry, which makes a lot of sense because a lot of these CEOs are coming from other places than gaming. But it's just not how this beast is built. It's just not how it works. It's the psychology of the whole thing. It's how people interact with these products. We don't even think of them as products. We think of them as games. We think of them as experiences. We think of them as worlds that we're visiting, as memories that we are having, as memories that we are sharing, ones that we plan on returning to or may return to in the future or whatever it might be. And we play these games. We don't consume them. And that's a completely different interaction than you see in a lot of other industries.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Objectively wrong. You could say the exact same thing for movies, for music, for books, for any form of art. And I'm sorry, but this whole video was done through the specific lens of consumerism, was it not? He's not talking about them from their artistic standpoint. He's talking about they're costing too much money. And for me, the consumer, that's a problem. He's talking about, well, they're going to get their money taken away from the EU regulation. Again, that's from a consumerist standpoint. Where is the artistic lens here? Where is it talking about from the spirit of gaming? Where are you talking about how they've lost their way, that their creativity has been stifled? There was none of that here. You do think of these games as consumable things. Just because you call them games, you do think of them as products. You were just talking about ownership of them. You don't own art. Art is experienced. You are a consumer. You have a very consumer step. I mean, I don't think we have to watch the rest of this video, do we? I mean, we're almost done, but like, I'm not gonna.
I think I got my fill. I also want to go make dinner.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. I gotta play. But real quick, I just wanted to say,
For sure.
he's talking about like he's not a consumer. Yeah, Bungie is cooked. Oblivion is a warning. You can't have this. They're terrified of this game and won't let it go. They took a stand. Like none of these, this trend won't go well. Who gives a shit? Not a lot to pot. They're winning. This is so weird. None of these videos are talking about games from their artistic merit. Talking about how this will be the end of Ubisoft, how their Marvel Rivals is taking over and it's a wake-up call for all that shit. Like none of this, the real impact of DEI in gaming, how is this about from an artistic standpoint? Talk about something like, I don't know, I'm sorry, and I'll let you go after this. He says that, and then he says Zenless Zone Zero is incredible. The fucking gacha game, the money game, the game where you gotta pay money to get cool shit. That's the game you're fucking promoting here, but you care about art. You're not a consumer. A literal fucking gacha game.
And has egregious amounts of jiggle physics.
Oh my god, dude, this is so fucking funny, man.
Like if he actually cared about the art, like he would talk about Avowed, not in a way that basically only focuses on the incredibly cringe amount of controversy that is around it, but he would talk about like the genuinely impressive like art direction.
Yes. Yes.
Of the game. Like people are so fucking stupid. People complain about like the looks of like the characters or the character creation because it does look. It's like you're a person with a fucking like mushroom on your face. That looks cool as fuck. Like, are you stupid? Like, art is such a uniquely ideological thing to them. It is so deeply frustrating.
It's because they use it for internet winning points on the argument, and they use it as a consumeristic standpoint. Like they don't talk about art as the value of art. I talked about Concord. The game sucks. I'm like, yeah, but the character design isn't actually bad. It's the fact that they went for the art direction is what fucked them up. The character design's good. It's the art direction that fucked up. And I talked about the art direction. I broke it down like how just looking in visuals of it, and without talking about gameplay. But for them, it's like, but it didn't sell well. I don't care.
The concept art for Concord was really cool, and then when they translated it into their 3D art direction, it fucking shat the bed. Like there was an error there that did not work with the creative pipeline. Yeah,
like I'm like, you guys are just so fucking disingenuous. I don't think you appreciate art. I know you don't, because look at the content you put out. There's no appreciation of the art, of even the art of making YouTube videos or YouTube content. You don't care about what you put out. You just want to put something out so you can make money from it. You're no different than these companies. That's why I said in my video, I was talking about how they're like, oh, these journalists are lying shills and they're paid to lie to you. I'm like, maybe some of that's true, but YouTubers are more incentivized to do that. YouTubers get direct money from your viewership. So they're more likely to lie to you than someone who already got paid to make an article about why this game's lore is the best. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So fucking. Yep. But you know what? I'll let you go because I gotta play Onimusha. Otherwise, I'm a liar.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. We should do this more.
Yes.
It was great.
It was fun. All right, man.
Fun asterisk.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Take it easy.
Okay.